Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky podcast. I welcome two awesome guests tonight. We have got Jaren and Roman with us. Did I say your names correctly? See, I do this. I say names wrong. Did I say it right then?
You
I
got it
did.
right,
I
man.
did. Oh, okay.
I
Man, I do
appreciate
that.
it.
Or should I say Jerome?
You can say Jerome, that's like a mesh of both of us. Like, but when you say that, we turn into something different. Like our voice changes. It's like our superpower, you know?
It's like your alter ego, maybe.
There you go.
So you
Hey,
got
names have power, man.
100%, 100%, man. So you guys are twins.
Yep.
Which is super cool. Super cool. I've got to ask you guys, do you guys have like like telepathic communication and stuff like that? Is that real? Is that a thing with twins?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was really one time that we kind of felt it. I mean, I shouldn't say one time because, like, almost on a regular basis recently, especially, we're starting to like when I meet up with my brother, all of a sudden we don't talk, previous to this, and all of a sudden I meet up with him and we're wearing like the same outfit. Like we're wearing the same choice of color, like for shirts, same type of hat, or you know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm like, what the heck? And then even like to our shoes sometimes, like we pick the Chuck Taylors that day or something, and it's like we have tons of different stuff to wear, but for some reason this keeps happening over and over. Like that one pink
Yeah.
time we wore the pink shirts. And I was
Like,
like, what the heck? When would you ever wear a pink shirt? Like we don't. I have one pink shirt in my wardrobe, and I put that on that day. And then the next day I was like, all right, cool, let's test this out. I'm wearing a white shirt and a hat, and he's like, dude, I'm wearing a white shirt and a hat. So it's like, it's just nonstop. So we have like a telekinesis or telepathic vibe together that we don't like use, I think, very often, but it is there. Um,
wow.
and he has a cool story from when we were in elementary school. Yeah, yeah. So when we were in elementary, I just remember we used to get picked up by either our aunt or our grandma because our parents had to work, during the day. And so after school was out, our aunt picked us up, and I was like, I was really stressed out. I was like freaking out because we couldn't find Jaren. He wasn't there yet. Usually we meet up and we get in the car together. And I was freaking out, and I just knew something was really wrong. And I had this feeling like in my head, I was like, man, he is getting beat up. Like some bullies are beating him up right now, And I was like almost crying, and I told my aunt this. I was like, we need to find him, and I know where he's at. Like I know exactly where he's at. So we went to the very back of like there's a field back behind the school, and then there's like almost this little pathway that goes into a neighborhood, and he was like right at the edge of the field in that pathway, and he was getting beat up by these bullies. They were like beating him up, and he Dude, was these crying. these punks were throwing my backpack around and throwing me down, and they were like, and I'm not as like
Oh,
big as I am now. Back then, I was this little guy, and I was like getting thrown around. I remember, and it was funny because Roman comes running like he comes running over, and they take off. I don't know why they were scared of two little guys. We were two little guys, but still, when Roman showed up, they're just like they took off.
Jerome was there then. Jerome was there. So that
That was Jerome. That was the alter
that,
ego.
that was that.
He's like, whoa,
Oh, damn, let's get out of here.
yeah, that's funny.
Wow, that's wild though, man. That is wild because that is sort of like in my mind, that is like paranormal. The fact that you guys can connect in that way, like that shouldn't be a thing, but it is, and so many twins experience that as well. So I find that so interesting.
Well, one thing that's kind of cool, there's a couple different types of twins, right? There's the fraternal, there's the identical, and then there's the type like us where we're like mirror. They call us mirror twins, even though we don't look as much alike as much anymore. Um, we we have the same DNA, so we're basically one egg split into two, right? So we literally have
Wow.
the same DNA, and we have the same fingerprints too. And then we have on one side of my temple, I have a birthmark, and on the other side of his, he has one. And he was supposed to be left-handed, but my dad wasn't a fan of that, so my dad sort of made him right-handed. Like every time he had a pencil, he'd move it to his right hand. I don't know why my dad had an issue with left-handed,
Dude, I'm
but
still pissed because every time I play basketball, my left hand takes over and I can't shoot. All of a sudden, I'm trying to go with my right like this, and then my left hand just goes
Oh
all of a sudden,
man.
and I miss every shot lately. I'm like, dude,
but
Ah,
he's ambidextrous because of that though. Like he can do
yeah.
things with both hands, and I can only do the right hand. So it's funny how there's a lot of those weird dynamics that
Yeah.
are like two people split into one in a way.
And you have the same fingerprints as well. So if
Yep, same fingerprint. So if this fool kills somebody, it
that's what I'm
wasn't me,
thinking.
guys.
Yeah, yeah, how would you tell? Like, that's wild,
it's
man.
I don't know. I don't know if you've ever heard the story, and for your listeners, they could look it up. But there was a guy who was prosecuted for like I think he was in prison for 30 years or something like that, and he was estranged from his twin. Like he didn't know his twin. It was maybe like a separation at birth situation.
They
Yeah.
ended up finding out that it was actually his twin that killed somebody, and he was in jail. So they released him finally when they got.
Wow.
I think it took like the DNA to get more advanced because there are some slight subtle differences. But back in the day, like when he was prosecuted, it was too similar to know, and so he got busted. And obviously, can you imagine like those twins can't be friends? They can't, you know.
No,
I
that's
served
the
prison time for you, bro, for 30 years. Well,
wow.
did you see the recent pictures? Because me and Tommy here are buddies on Instagram. All of us are, but
Yeah,
um,
the
did you see the
baby
recent picture
pictures.
I posted
Yeah,
with me and Rome as like little
exactly
kids?
the same. You was the
I
one on
know,
the
right?
right, right? You was the one on the right.
I was the one on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only know that because I looked at the comments because I didn't know.
I had the sailor outfit on, and Roman had the black, and I had the white, and then the other one, I can't remember what the. Oh, I think I was left on one of them though. But yeah, it's funny. Like even still, we have to sometimes look at the picture and be like,
Is that
which one's
me?
which? Well, especially when we're young, like really young, like 2 years
Yeah,
old and under. Yeah, it's
exactly the
crazy.
same. Exactly the same. You're still obviously very similar now, but you were exactly the same when you were babies, man. Do you have to ring each other up and say like, "Don't do anything silly today, bro. Let's not, let's not kill no one today, yeah?"
Thankfully, we try to be. We're not good citizens, are we? Nah,
Yeah,
we're,
you
we're
are.
trouble. We're trouble. We're pretty good. I got kids and a wife. I have to be really good.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's the game changer.
When you're in your 30s, the biggest trouble you get into is like the stuff we do, like looking into government conspiracies and about to get ourselves killed by the
Yeah,
government. You know what
that's
I mean?
pretty dangerous. That's pretty
That's
dangerous.
dangerous.
We're all definitely on a list, that is for sure.
I think so.
Once you start going down these rabbit holes, you're definitely on some list somewhere where they're keeping an eye. It's quite
Yeah,
scary.
I believe it. Have you heard of those two guys that show up? We'll have to get into this, but there's those two guys that show up, and I can describe them every time. But like those Sasquatch stories when somebody kills a Sasquatch, hits a Sasquatch, sees a Sasquatch, it's always the two guys. It's the long-haired guy in the lumberjack outfit that's kind of hard on his comments, and
Yeah.
but he's trying to be nice. And then it's the other guy in the suit that's like more business, and he's got like the perfect look and the full suit on and everything. Have you ever heard of those two guys?
Interesting. No, we need to get into that, man. I don't think we have. I'm gonna write that down just so I don't forget.
Yeah,
Bigfoot
it's a
guys.
it's a thing. It's a pretty common thread where like people report, and
Interesting.
and and they're probably not the same people. I doubt they're the same people. I
Hmm.
just think it's this weird psychological thing that maybe they do it that way, where it's like you can relate to like the common man with the lumberjack look, and then you can relate to like the businessman. Like maybe it's a good cop, bad cop routine a little bit to try
Yeah.
to like maybe make someone either feel comfortable or make them feel intimidated. Like it has to be some kind of psychological game that they're dressing that way.
Hmm.
It's like they're wearing costumes. It's really weird.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about the Men in Black at first.
Well, there's those too. There's definitely those.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
man. So you guys are in one of you're very near one of the coolest places I would say on Earth right now, because I'm a huge fan of the show Yellowstone. I'm watching it. I'm hooked. I'm on like season 4, and I want to move over there and I want to become a rancher and be a cowboy and give up everything because it seems like the coolest life.
Well, when you're done with first off, you're completely right. Yellowstone's great. My favorite part is besides the rancher stuff because I'm kind of I have people in my life that are like that. But the biggest thing is like it's just the views, the scenery, the
Yeah.
hardness. I like the hardness of those guys. Like sometimes we've been missing that sort of masculinity. So
Hmm.
having those guys like Rip and like John and even Casey for the hell of it. Casey's just such a cool badass too. Like just the military background and just he's a guy
Yeah,
that gets
man.
stuff done.
Yeah.
Um, but
Rip
when
for
you're done
me
with
is the one. I just want to be that dude.
Rip,
I
yeah,
think he's
I
such
could
a
see
cool
I could
dude.
see you rocking the Rip look, man. You just got to do because he has red hair too in real life.
Does he? Oh
Yeah, the real
wow.
actor. His name's
He's got
Cole Hauser. You should look him up. He has reddish hair.
he's got black hair in the show, hasn't he?
Yeah, they dye his hair black. Taylor Sheridan's got a sort of a thing for like guys with black hair, I think, to
Ah,
be like the hard
he
character.
doesn't like the ginger dudes. That's not on, man.
Take it up with him, man.
That's
I don't know.
banger. I don't like
But
that show anymore. It sucks.
the next thing you got to do though is watch 1923 and 1883. Have you seen
See, I watched
1883?
I watched both of them first.
Okay.
Before I started Yellowstone, so I done it like the wrong way around, but sort of the right way around. But
Did you like
incredible.
1883?
Best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's
100%.
great, huh?
The best. I love that show, man. That was amazing. And I
So
just
Tim McGraw and Sam Elliott, they were both awesome on that, huh?
oh man, what a show. And there's a new one now on Netflix, which is American Primeval, which is not the same director, but incredible as well. Very
Yeah,
similar, probably a bit
I,
more ruthless,
I
but
watched that one, and what's
amazing.
cool about that one is it kind of took place in parts of Utah. We got like there was the Mormon kind of reference, LDS stuff in there, and some of the native stuff, and that was a good show too. I watched the whole thing. I kind of binged it really quick.
Hmm.
Same. And it's funny because like you tread on light water around here a little bit with that because we're not Mormon and we've never been, but like my dad's side has been in the past, and like my grandparents on that side and my aunts and uncles on that side are. So it's funny because like you'll talk to somebody in school or not in school at work or whatever. Like, oh, have you seen American Primeval? But there's certain people I won't say that to because like what it does is it tells the truth about how ruthless Brigham Young was,
Hmm.
but they just don't like that. So it's like but it is what it is, man. There's history behind it, so it's kind of cool
Yeah.
that they showed that.
That is a wild show, like
Yeah.
ruthless, like 1883 is like it's like ruthless, like
Hmm.
real. Like you guys are tough, man. That area, the area that you're living in, the first dudes that landed there back in the day are some tough dudes. That's in your blood, man. So
Well,
you
you
guys
know
are
what sucks
tough
about us
dudes.
is we're kind of on the opposite side because we're Hopi Native American on my dad's side.
Mm,
So we're like the guys that
okay.
they were fighting against, the dudes that
Yeah.
came here, and we kind of had to be like defensive, probably. I mean, our
Hmm.
our culture, the territory where Hopi's from, is like the Four Corners, but it's mostly like northern Arizona, I think it is,
Hmm.
and partially Utah to Nevada, or not Utah to Nevada, Utah to Arizona border. Um, and so we've actually wanted to go down there to check it out. We don't have enough blood in us for like a warm welcome, I would say, but
Hmm.
it'd be fun to go check it out and see what's
Yeah,
up.
man. Yeah. Incredible part of the world, man. I would love to come out there. I definitely would love to come out there soon and get on a horse, put on a cowboy hat, and try. I'll probably fall off and break my leg straight away, but I would love to, man. It looks amazing. Beautiful
Well,
place.
I admit horses are not my favorite. They're not a fan of me. I try to be a fan of them, but they're not a fan of me. So, um, something in my past, there was like some native dude that like used to whip them in
Yeah.
the butt or something like that.
See, you guys, you've got an awesome podcast, Supernatural Station podcast. Absolutely fantastic. I was on it recently. We had a great time. Similar to this show, you talk to people about paranormal experiences and the freaky stuff that we like here at Let's Get Freaky. How did the show start for you guys? What got you into doing the podcast?
For me, I mean, I think both of us have always had a lot of supernatural experiences growing up. It started a lot when we were children, like a lot of people do. You hear that as a common thread. I don't know if we're closer to the veil when we're kids or what happens. Maybe there's something that happens as we get older that we just lose that side of things to be able to see things and communicate or shut it off somehow. But when I was a kid, like really what started for me was these experiences. And if you want, I can get into we can get started on some of
I,
those.
I want them all. I want all
But
your
the thing
experiences.
is like I really just like a lot of us, I want answers on what happened to me, like what I saw. And I don't think we're ever gonna get the answers. I'll be honest right now from the start. I don't know that we're ever gonna get answers, but I just hope we get a little closer. And even if I just find out like my own investigative digging, I kind of just want to find out what I saw, like if it's related to our family, and I'll get into it. But this really was like the thing that started it for me because it's like I knew after some of these experiences, especially the first one, I knew this stuff was real, like right away. I was a believer forever. And then that only added to the fire. Like a lot of things started happening for me, and it kind of came in you know, bop, 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 tons of them. And then my brother too, he had his own things as well. So really we just have always had a fascination with it. And it's not just ghost stuff, it's all the things. We're interested in finding out all these mysteries that exist, whether it's Bigfoot, other cryptids, alien stuff. I feel so bad for these people that are getting like abducted, taken up in these ships supposedly and getting experimented on. It's like, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
like
Well, actually, are they ships or is it like an underground bunker that's government related that's underground and it looks like a ship? I don't know. I've had like my own theories
Hmm.
on that that's made me a little bit nervous because we have so many caves and so many hidden bunkers and all these places. Like Pennsylvania, there's that one that Tony talks
oh, you're
about.
talking about Raven Rock.
Raven Rock,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of other places like that. But it's like they go down like 40 sub levels, and then there's this place that's completely secret, and who knows what's going on down there. I don't know. That's
Hmm.
my theory, but it could be aliens and crafts.
Yeah, I think it could be a mixture. I think we could be experiencing a lot of different things, and that's why sometimes it gets confusing because there is more than one answer, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I feel like there could be things coming from other planets, possibly, or things that are interdimensional and they live amongst us already. I think they could all be happening. You know, all these theories, all these things that people are experiencing, I think could be happening, all of them. And that's why sometimes it might get confusing.
Yeah, I think the more we do these podcasts, like kind of start out with a black or white, and then you just really get into that gray area, and you stay in that gray area. Unless unless
Hmm.
like something massive happens, we all kind of stay in that gray area eventually
Yeah.
because there's too much that's credible that we've heard from credible witnesses. It's like, okay, there's something going on with that.
But
Hmm.
really, though, like, why? Here's what my confusion is, because I've had this past, and we've had these stories that we've grown up, well, not stories, these real situations that have happened to us that have shaped us. Why? How is it that there's people out there, like, and I think I heard it on your podcast recently. It's like, how are there people out there that haven't had any experiences? And
Hmm.
it's like, it's almost like we didn't choose them, they chose us. And is that like a gift or a curse?
Hmm.
But I don't know. We're out here doing the work, we're out here telling people about it. So there must be some reason behind it.
Yeah, yeah. Too many people have experiences. Most people have some sort of experience. You get guys like us that seem to have quite a lot more than some. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's like openness. I believe some of it is to do with like your openness to it. Like if you know there's more around you, then chances are you're going to experience more. That's just what I think. And I think once you accept it that the paranormal's real, that's what happens. Unfortunately, you get some more experiences, whether that's good or bad.
Yeah. It's like an open door, like an energy open door, if you will. Like they probably look around to and fro and, oh, there's somebody that's
Yeah,
that person sees me.
yeah,
I'm gonna go
yeah,
talk to them.
yeah.
You know what it
It's
reminds
like,
me of really quick? Just a pop culture reference because we were just watching Fellowship of the Ring, The Lord of the Rings. It reminds me of when Frodo puts the ring on and all of a sudden the ring wraiths see him and they come
yeah, they
right at
see him
him.
instantly.
You know what I mean? It's kind of
Yeah,
like that. You're turning
yeah,
a light on or something, and all of a sudden they see you and they're coming at
yeah,
you.
yeah. Well, some mediums say that. Some mediums say there's like some people are just like beacons for these entities, ghosts, whatever they are, that they're drawn to certain people because they know that they can communicate. It's very interesting, man. It's
It's
very interesting.
wild. It's wild.
Oh, my Siri's
Why are
come up.
certain people?
Sorry, guys.
Oh, you're good.
Get off, Siri. Sorry, guys.
Oh, you're good.
It's not done
Siri, she
that for
wants
a
to talk.
while.
She wants
It's
to be
not.
part of the show.
She wants to get involved, but she
Dude,
can't.
Siri's AI. She's coming for us, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't like what we're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh-uh.
That's not happened for a while. Where was we?
2027. Just kidding.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm screwed up from that.
Yeah, it's quite
I've been
scary.
kind of like losing sleep over that a little bit.
Oh no, man. No. But
No, I'm good.
you hear these dates, you hear years. Some people are saying this year is going to be a big year for certain thing, and who knows? I mean, we definitely seem to be getting closer to certain revelations, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a wild
Because
world right now.
But then you get times like in like Christmas time in New Jersey when all these drones were going off and nobody seemed to know what was happening, and it was all getting a bit wild for a while. The politicians are talking about it, and all of a sudden it just stopped. I believe Trump said it was like our technology that
Mhm.
we were using. I don't know, man. It's very strange how these things are like blown up, then all of a sudden they're gone and there's
Well,
nothing.
to get to that, it was weird because we were seeing a lot here in Utah. There was a lot of that going on. It wasn't just New Jersey. And it's weird that they were reporting New Jersey so much, but literally every Texas had so many. I was on TikTok and I saw them like in every state, every city. I literally was like, "Are we getting invaded? Like, what is going on here?" And I would come outside on my balcony and just film the sky, and I would see like this one it was a big one too, every 2 or 3 days just hanging out right there. And I'm just like, what is going on with this stuff? But the weirdest thing is, I had like a very huge suspicion that it was government related because of the red and green lights.
Hmm.
And I've never seen a UFO, or at least heard of a lot of UFO stories with red and green lights. It's always like, because that's always like a, hey, look, we're a spacecraft regulated by the U.S. government or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's the flight code.
Um,
You have to rep that to fly, legally.
so I knew there was like some fishiness to it, but I was definitely a little bit guarded, like trying to. But it's weird, yeah. It's just it's out of the picture now.
Yeah, just
Move
gone
on.
quiet.
Hashtag.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, mate. It's very strange. And we'll see what the next few months bring. Something comes up, whether what it is we don't know. But yeah, guys. So let's get into your experiences.
Yeah,
Where it all
Roman.
starts for you.
Yeah, Roman. Take it off. Take it over, rather.
Yeah. So this one's the most important situation experience that I've ever had, probably still to date. because it was pretty much my introduction to the afterworld, the ghosts and stuff. And it was also the most vivid that I've ever seen still to date. The most like there's a lot of detail going on. And sometimes people say they see things and they don't really have a ton of detail. It's more like a flash or, a black shadow figure like you hear sometimes. That wasn't this. So this, my brother and I, we used to share a bedroom at my dad's house because he had kind of like a small two-bedroom house that he rented. And we were in one of the bedrooms and we had these two beds that were like little twin beds. And I was on, like, it was kind of like an L in the room. So, like, I was on one side and then my brother's bed was on kind of facing the other direction. And if I like woke up, just as an example, as I get into the story, if I woke up for an example in the middle of the night and look over, I could see my brother, like his whole body perfectly well, from my position. And one night I was just, and by the way, I'll set this up too. We lived with our dad and we had a stepmom that was there also. So it was all four of us in the house. Um, my stepmom at the time was pretty young, like in her 30s, dark hair. This wasn't her. So I'll get into what I saw. So in the middle of the night, one time, it was like 3, 4 in the morning. You always hear that too, the witching hour type thing. I woke up for no reason. Like there was no sound or anything like that. I just woke up and I pulled the covers down. I look over to my brother, and right at the base of the bed, like where his feet are, there's a woman sitting there, and she's kind of like opaque, like so you could see through her, but you definitely could see all the details. And she was basically sitting there at the edge of the bed, and the strange part is what she was doing was she was pulling the covers over my brother's feet, like as to like cover them. You imagine like if you're in a cold cabin, let's say that's freezing, and you've got children, you want to make sure their feet are protected and warm. And so that's kind of the feeling I had from what she was doing. She was like basically protecting my brother's feet, from the cold. It wasn't cold in the room or anything like that. We were in a nice, heated house and stuff. But what was weird about her is, and just as a description for her, and by the way, so she was tucking, I'll say what she did first. So she was tucking the feet, and then I kept staring at her for a while, and then all of a sudden I realized that she like knew I was looking at her. And so she turned and looked straight at me. And when she looked at me, her eyes were like the way I remember it, and it's hard when you're kids because some memories may be like merging with like pop culture stuff you've seen on movies and stuff like that. But I really do feel like I remember her eyes had like a red tinge to them, which is what scared me about her because like she was doing a nice thing for my brother. She shouldn't have been in the room, so that was already scary enough. But she was doing a nice thing for my brother, so I should have been like nicer about it. But the red eyes is kind of what scared me, and she looked at me like she was looking through my soul. And I freaked out, pulled the covers over my head, and I just started praying because I was like, oh, like I knew it was something scary. Um, and then I pulled the covers down again, and she was gone. I don't know how long that was. It might have been a minute or so of prayer. Um, but what was crazy about her, so as a description for her, she obviously was wearing like a period dress. It was like a pioneer style dress. So we were talking off air, or I guess on air, about 1883 and all that kind of stuff. Those kind of dresses that the women would wear on those shows,
Mhm.
like early Western pioneer days. They had like that. So she had that kind of roundish collar that was like lacy, and then she had like kind of a fuller dress, but it was tight in the waist, so like very corseted in the waist. And then her dress really expanded at the base of it, and I could see the color of it. It was like a grayish blue type color, which was pretty common back in that era. She was very thin, like she had a very gaunt look to her, like very pointy features, pointy nose, skinny cheeks. Her hair was silvery gray, and it was pulled back in one of those really tight buns with just the round. She probably obviously had really long hair, but it was just pulled super tight. And yeah, when she looked at me, it's just like it was so scary. But what I could see, I definitely could see stuff behind her. So I knew she was a ghost. Like that's what kind of made me so freaked out too. Is she wasn't so solid that I could like not see behind her. I could definitely see like the wall and part of the bed and stuff behind her. So anyway, so that was like my first intro to seeing like an apparition. And then the story kind of does come full circle as well, like way future, in the future. I went over to my dad's house. So this was my dad's old place that he rented, which was in Holiday, Utah. That's where that experience happened. And it was just a rental house, so he didn't own it or anything like that. So we don't really know the history of what that was, but I don't believe that it was related to the house. as I get into the rest of this part of the story. So my dad moved to Taylorsville, which is just a different city in Utah, much later in life. And we were adults at this time. And so back then, just to go back one more time, because I didn't want to forget this part. I didn't really want to tell my dad about this back then because I was worried he would like not make fun of me, but just not believe me. Sometimes we kind
Yeah.
of talked about this on our show with you.
Yeah, our
Mhm.
dad was kind of like the hard general where he just didn't we're very creative minded, me and Roman, and we used to be like artistic and drawing all the time, and we used to
Mhm.
like comfort each other, like when we'd get scared, because we'd have a lot of like weird supernatural stuff. So sometimes I'd be sleeping like you did with your, earlier, where you like laid a fake bed down on the floor next to
Mhm.
the bed. That's what I did all the time because I would get freaked out. And then he would come down and he would just think it was awkward or weird that we're like sleeping in the same room when we're older or something like that. And this is like we're 8 years old or something, so it wasn't like we're way old, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
um, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's the context of where he's getting at with that.
Yeah. So I do believe we were about 8 at that time. And that wasn't the only thing that happened back then. Like there was one time, and I'll just cover this part really quick because it's really short. But there was one time we had the traditional 90s like slumber party with our cousin, and like I think a friend or two were there. When I say 90s, this is like the funnest time. I have such good memories of that era because
Mhm.
like you get like Domino's Pizza or Pizza Hut or something. You got like some video games like on the Super Nintendo or regular Nintendo, and then you got
Yes.
like some awesome movies like Goosebumps, like TV show, or you got like movies you want to watch like Rumble in the Bronx or whatever, like 90s stuff, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And we were doing that, and I just remember we fell asleep in sleeping bags in the living room. This is the same house that I saw this apparition. And I remember in the middle of the night, I don't remember this, but our cousin told us about this, but he was woken up in the middle of the night by the TV turning on, and it was just static, like the whole poltergeist thing, like where it's just static electricity on the TV. And he thought he was hearing like voices coming from it too. So he like covered his head as well, got super freaked out, and then it stopped. So that all happened in that house. So I think there was something going on in that house, and I don't think it was brought in by like my dad or anything like that because he didn't do anything he didn't do Ouija boards or any weird stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Mhm.
But full circle going forward to my pioneer lady. So I was hanging out with my dad, different house now, Taylorsville, Utah. And we were just hanging out. It was like he was just having us over. I think I was in my 20s, like 25, 26, something like that. And I was like, Dad, I don't know if I ever told you the story. And then I kind of just went into it. I was like, in the old house that we used to rent, and I told him about the Pioneer Lady and stuff. I went into the whole detail. And his face went like jet white. Like he was just super white, and his face, like his eyes like were huge, his mouth dropped. And he just sat there silently for a while. And I was like, can you say something, And then all of a sudden he just sat there and he said, wait, you saw her too? And I was like, oh. And then he went
Dang,
to tell me about when he was
scary.
about 8 years old in his old house too, for years and years and years ago, that he also saw the same lady. Because my description was like the same as what he saw, and he used to see her like walking around their house and stuff. And so
Wow.
I just really think she was some kind of ancestor to our family that
Hmm.
maybe is like watching over the boys in the family for some reason. Like maybe she lost a boy
Mhm.
in her life and like maybe she's trying to like protect these kids. I just picture like wagon covered times and like maybe
Wow.
her son or something died from the cold and
Yeah.
she's just there to be like a protector or something. So even though I saw like those red eyes and I got scared,
Mhm.
I really believe that was more my kid imagination like adding something to it, whereas I really believe she was something like in our family. So
Yeah.
now I have a son who's actually 9. He just turned 9. I was dreading the whole 8-year-old time frame for a long time because I'm like, he's gonna see her, you know. But luckily he didn't. So I don't know. Maybe I was the end of the cycle or something.
Yeah.
What are your
Yeah.
thoughts, Tommy? What are your thoughts on that?
That is really cool. Cool. I mean, scary, but I mean, cool. I mean, she was showing you some like motherly, like looking after your feet and stuff. So that's quite the red eyes is quite a scary aspect to it because that red eyes don't get connected to good things
Can I be
normally.
honest on that? Let me be
Yeah.
honest on that. I'm scared to sleep with my feet out of the covers now.
Yeah, I
Like
bet,
I've
man.
always been, and it's just a subconscious thing of me now.
Hmm.
And I think it's
Yeah.
because it made me like super nervous, even though it was a good thing. Like I literally can't have my feet outside the cover, even if they're burning up, which my feet do burn up. I'm
Yeah.
just like whatever, like I'm good. So
Well, and
Man.
well, and I didn't tell my brother just so the audience knows, the listeners. I didn't tell my brother about this either because I didn't want to scare him about sleeping in our room because I knew how he was. Like I would say, out of the two of us, he was always a little more scared than me about most things.
it's true.
Um, but like Yeah, I'm glad he admits it. We're gonna have to tussle.
No, I knew. It's true.
No, but for real, like, and so I just didn't want to tell him. So I also kept it from him for a long time. I think I told you much later in life, like we were 12 or 13 or something.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
remember.
Wow,
But
man.
that was kind of the first. That was like the start of it all, you know?
But the fact that it's like noticed you as well, like it sort of, you say it turned to look at you, the lady.
Oh yeah, like
That's wild
it
as
really
well.
what it felt like was like she knew I was staring. Like, we get that sixth sense too. Like when something's looking at us, it's almost like you have this weird. I really think it's a sixth sense or something where it's like almost like we have eyes on the back of our head or on the side of our head or something, where we can also tell that something's looking at us.
Hmm.
And that's what it was for me. I think that's what she was going through. I think and that's the other thing we always talk about, like what are ghosts exactly? Like maybe she was seeing us as ghosts or seeing me as a ghost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know if I believe that 100%, but just her reaction was kind of interesting. And I don't know if she was scared of me either. She didn't look scared, but like
yeah.
I don't know what her reaction was when I covered my face. And I'm just a child, you know. She's obviously trying to protect my brother. We
Mm.
look the same, like, I think she would feel bad about me getting like freaked out, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
your dad used to see this spirit quite a lot, walking around and
Yeah,
stuff. And
he didn't tell me how many times. He didn't go into a lot of detail, and that's also part of his personality. He just doesn't like to get into some of that stuff.
hmm.
But he just said he saw her a couple times. Like, so I know it was more than once. So,
But he was visibly scared when he told him that, like pure
Yeah,
pale white, like yeah, just in shock that somebody else saw her, you know?
yeah. That's
Like he was
cool,
gonna
man.
take that to his grave or something like that. And then when Roman
Mhm.
told him, he's like, whoa, like, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Wow. But sometimes you do get that, especially that generation as well. They don't always want to talk about this sort of stuff and don't want to
hmm
share. I think our sort of generation now is a lot more open to this sort of stuff, you
Totally.
know.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that we're starting to get that way.
Mhm.
It's kind of a shame for those guys, you know. Like I kind of feel bad
Yeah.
that they aren't willing to do that. But I think maybe with us doing what we're doing, you know, we're gonna change our parents' mind on that a little bit
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
allow them
Yeah.
to start opening their mind a little bit to it, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I was always quite lucky that my mum and dad sort of shared their experiences with me. And I didn't
well,
realize actually how lucky I was until talking to so many people. And you very often hear that. I couldn't really talk to my mum and dad, and I get that the mum and dad are trying to look after their kids. So it's not coming from a bad place, but
mhm.
it's tough as well. If I couldn't, the things that I saw as a kid, if I couldn't share that with my mum and dad and tell people, that would have been hard, man. So
Well,
I'm
the
quite
cool thing
lucky.
is our mom, my mom, our mom, is opposite of that. She'll tell us everything. Like she used to tell us all her haunting stories. We actually had an episode with my mom and my grandma telling their stories.
Oh, awesome.
And my mom had some crazy Ouija board stories. She had some really strange ghostly experiences. She's very in tune. She used to be the type where she could hug somebody, a woman that was pregnant, before they knew they were pregnant. And she would be like, "You're pregnant." And then they would go and do a test, and then they were pregnant. And
Wow.
then she'd say, "You're having a girl." And she'd go, "Oh, you're lying. Oh, you're up in the night. You're up in the night." And then, "Oh, Dixie, guess what? I have to eat crow. I'm having a girl." Like 3 months later. So my mom used to have dreams about me in Rome when she was like 16. She's like, I used to see these 4-year-old little dark-haired kids running around. And she's like, and I told our dad when they were together, when she got pregnant, she's like, we're having twins. And he's like, you're up in the night. Get the hell out of here. And she's like, no, I'm telling you, we're having twins. And finally, when they did the final
Wow.
ultrasound, the lady was doing the whole like thing on the stomach, and she's like, there's a heartbeat. And then she's like, oh, and there's another heartbeat. And my dad literally fainted in
he
the
he
hospital.
fell over and fainted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
But for our listeners, really quick, if they want to listen to that episode with our mom's story, because she's got some pretty amazing stories. It's episode 33 on our show, so Supernatural Station podcast, episode 33. So yeah,
Awesome.
feel free to check it out.
We're
She
not cool
tells it.
enough to have seasons yet, but yeah, episode 33, you
Yeah,
know.
I don't do seasons. I think just numbers is better, I guess. I don't know. Each to their own.
Yeah, exactly.
So who was born
Well,
first out of you two? Just out of
I know
interest.
Oh, I was born for 6 minutes.
yeah,
I was
he's six
6
minutes
minutes
older.
older.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I feel bad for my mom because that wasn't a C-section either. It was like legit.
Ooh wee. Wow. So Jaren, did you see anything as a child? Did you have any experiences as a kid?
Um, so it's funny because mine are like more collateral. It's with others. So I haven't really had. Maybe it was because I was so nervous and scared. I used to be like we used to go ghost investigate and do things like go downtown and go to these old investigation hauntings and stuff. And every time I was there, I was the most paranoid. He was right. I used to be like super freaked out, and I think it's because my in tuneness was very high, to where I just knew like it just they're gonna come attached to me. Like it just felt like that. And
Hmm.
it seems like that always was the case. Like I would have horrible nightmares afterwards. I'd have just weird stuff. And I'll get into some of my later stuff, but one of the biggest ones that I remember was up in Scope. Well, actually, I'm going to tell this one. So I was hanging out with my cousin and Roman, and anytime there's us three together, it's a trifecta. It really is because we have the same blood. He's on my dad's side, so he's got the Hopi and Indian in him too. And I feel like every time we're together, it's just a thing. It's a thing. It's a triangle. You know how every triangle has got some kind of power to it.
Hmm.
Hashtag Skinwalker Ranch. The triangle.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
but it's weird because we were what maybe 15, something 14, something like that. And we were sleeping over at my cousin's house, and this house was haunted, man. Like it was worse than the house that my dad grew up in, that we grew up in with my dad. It just you would hear people running up and like something running up and down the stairs almost every other night that you stayed there. So I was always just bracing for it when I was there. And there was this, but I never saw anything like visibly. I never really would see something with my eyes, except for this moment. This moment, we're sleeping downstairs in the basement, which is where my cousin's room was, and we were having a good time. We were watching movies, all the '90s stuff again. Well, this was 2000s, but still, we were having a great time. And I just remember lights out. I think it wasn't it Sean sleeping on the floor and then me and you on
Yeah.
the bed?
Yeah, our cousin was
So
cool. He always gave us the bed because he was just a gentleman that way. He's still that way. Like we go stay at his place. He's like, yeah, take my bed. I'll
he's like,
sleep on the
"Here's the
floor.
best pajamas. Here's the bed." He's so
Oh,
funny.
that's cool, man.
But yeah, so we were on the bed, and obviously sometimes me and Rome would, just whatever. We're young and just we're sleeping on a queen bed. Who cares? There's enough room. So I'm on one side, and I'm like looking one way. He's on the other side. My cousin's on the floor next to it. We're all just having a good time telling stories. We fall asleep, and then I just remember feeling really like freaked out, like just bone curdling freaked out, and I don't remember why. And I just remember kind of opening my eyes, and I've had this feeling before, and I'll tell this later probably, but I just remember feeling like something's looking at me kind of vibe. And so I look up like in this pitch black room, and to the corner, to give it context, he was a huge Star Wars fan, my cousin. So he had this huge Darth Vader cutout and that sat at the corner of the room. And it was just a cutout, like a cardboard cutout of Darth Vader, right? And it was like 6 foot tall or something like that. And so we always thought that was cool. And I just remember waking up groggy, looking over, and I see the Darth Vader cutout, don't think much of it, go to sleep. And then I just remember opening my eyes again, like a few minutes later. I still see the Darth Vader cutout, but instead of, I look this way. So I look on both sides of the room this time, and there's another one over there. There was another shadow that looked exactly like the Darth Vader cutout. And I was like, am I losing my mind? Like, and I was so groggy, and I was just like, I'm freaked out. So I put my head over the covers. I went to sleep. And then in the morning, I asked, both of these guys were awake. So all of us got woken up without telling each other because we were all freaked out. And there's another story that we have that's like that too. But they were like, yeah, did you see that last night? We're all freaking out. And it's like, and we looked at the room, and the one room where that thing was, it wasn't there anymore. But it had that same Darth Vader sort of brim thing. And it was a
Whoa,
big,
kind of like the
big
Hat
shadow.
Man sort of thing.
That's what I was gonna say. We started talking about it before the show, and I'm like, maybe it was a Hat Man. Now that we started thinking about it, that was weird.
Well, so
Yeah,
many
I
people see the Hat Man.
Yeah.
yeah, I attribute it to like almost like a bowler hat or something because it had a smaller brim. Or like one of those little trilby hats where they have a really small brim. Because
Hmm.
Darth
Yeah.
Vader's brim is not super huge.
Hmm.
And our mind is going to Darth Vader because of that, but it wasn't Darth Vader, obviously. It was just a black figure with kind of like that brim thing and then the rounded top. So probably a hat man, and it was just pure black. Like they always say the blacker than black thing. It was like
Hmm.
that, and all of us freaked out. Like all of us were scared, but we couldn't tell each other.
Yeah,
Like
we're
when
all
we
like
were
frozen. And
experiencing it.
the other thing too is like our older cousin, his older brother wasn't there at the time, so it was just us. So nobody could be messing with us.
Hmm.
His mom would be crazy to do that. She would never be like that. She's not even like she doesn't even act like she believes in anything like that. And she's always in haunted houses, which is funny. But then the other thing is, the Darth Vader cutout was still where it was supposed to be. So it was just like, okay, there's no way.
Wow, so the three of you saw that.
All at the same time without telling each other until the morning.
Wow, that is wild.
Yeah.
But again, like confirmation for you, for all of you, that you've all seen that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so much more to that. Like that's one story, but
And,
there would,
and I have a few too that I think would fall in line a little
let's
bit
do that.
closer to this stuff because this all kind of took place around the same time when we were like when I was like teenager, early teen, this kind of stuff. Some of it was when I was still a kid. I guess I'll start with when I was still a kid. I was at my mom's house, and there was this one time it used to scare me because our mom wouldn't come home. Like, so we split the week with our dad and our mom because they were divorced, and we had step parents on both sides and everything too. So, but what was cool about our parents is they were like nice enough to split the week with each other. They always kind of were cordial and stuff. So we got to be at our mom's house half the week and our dad's house half the week. And so our mom's house usually wasn't as scary as our dad's, but there was stuff that happened there too that was kind of weird. And so one time I was over there, they had a little basketball court like right in their driveway. They put a little basketball hoop and painted the concrete and everything. And so we play basketball a lot out there. And their garage was kind of set up as like a small living room. They had it like this for so long. Their garage was right next to the basketball hoop, and it had a little window on the side of it. And I just remember I was shooting hoops by myself. I don't know where my brother was. I don't know where any friends were. I think I was just by myself, and I was waiting for someone to come home because I just didn't like to enter the house alone. So I'm like, I'm gonna shoot hoops until someone comes home. And so I was doing that, and I just remember like I shot the ball and the ball went into the neighbor's yard and I like walked over there to grab the ball and I looked in this window that was in our garage because it was kind of like facing me at that point. And there was these little blinds like sitting there on the window and I just remember like someone's hands were just like a little like kind of like this, a little finger and like its eyes were just like staring at me through the blinds like just a little small slit and it was just eyes just staring at me and no one was home. So it was super scary because I could see it plain as day
but inside the garage.
in the garage.
Yeah.
And the eyes were like looked like an old person. Like when old people get pretty old and they start having like the saggy kind of
Yeah.
like purplish color under their eyes and stuff. It was like that. And like your eyes sort of get that grayish film like when you start getting blind and stuff.
Hmm.
They looked like that and they were like these huge round eyes just staring at me and I could see like this white bony finger like holding down the blinds. And it just like dropped them like the blinds went up and I like freaked out and I left and I went over to one of my friend's house and just waited till somebody got home.
Man, that is freaky, man.
I was out there egging somebody's car. I'm just kidding. I was probably just hanging out with some buddies. I don't know. but but for real, that is
Man,
scary.
no
And
one
that
was in
house,
that house. And I mean, oh, wow.
well,
And
it's
that's,
weird because like another thing that happened at that house was when I was playing PlayStation 1, so I had to have been like 10 to 12ish, probably 12. And I remember I was just sitting there with Roman here, my brother, and with our second cousin. She was like watching over us that day. And I remember my grandma was also watching over us, but she went to the grocery store, I think it was, and she was gone for a little bit. And she's like, "All right, kids, I'm gonna be right back." And she left. And when she left, we're sitting there playing games, having a good time. And all of a sudden, we hear my grandma cough, like a loud. It sounded just like how my grandma coughed. And I'm like, what the heck? And we all looked at each other like, what's going on? So we ran upstairs and she's gone. Her car's still gone. And it was audibly loud, like upstairs, like right where she should have been. And then I told her that and she was amazed. My grandma also was a believer. But I told my mom that later and my mom's like, that's so weird because it was like the same week or the week before that. She was getting her like hair dried, like hair blow dried. And my stepdad had already left for the day to go to work. And me and Rome had already left to go to the bus stop to go to school, and she was by herself, and she just remembers hearing somebody cough that sounded like Chris, like my stepdad. And she was like, "Chris, are you home?" And she like tried to like go around the corner, and no, everyone was gone. So whatever it was like mimicking people's voice in a
mhm,
perfect tone,
mhm.
and yeah, it was like a mimicker. We had a mimic ghost over there. So
Man,
weird.
we had that in here recently. I think
Really?
I was telling you guys, yeah, that my wife heard me call her name or the nickname that I call her, but I was at work. And like my wife knows this stuff and she's had a lot of experiences as well. And she just said she just started laughing. And I'm like, you're crazy.
She just laughs at it.
But because she was just shocked, I think. And I think that's how sometimes, but yeah, she was like, I just couldn't believe it. Like,
Yeah.
I call my wife Treek. Her name's Lois, but I call her Treek. I'm the only one that calls her that, I think. And I went, and she heard Treek, what, like I was upstairs or whatever, and I was at work.
That's so
Um,
crazy.
and
I
there's been
wonder
a
what
few
that.
things like that.
I wonder what that is. Like why they mimic and what the reason behind. I mean, obviously to get your attention, but I wonder
Hmm.
what it
Hmm.
is. Because it seems like it's like a playful situation. Like it's a trickster.
Yeah, yeah. I heard Dad once. I heard Dad like at 3 o'clock in the morning while I was downstairs, and I just thought it was my boy or one of the kids, and there was no one there, and I was like, "What?" Dun, dun, dun. So many things like that have happened, and you doubt yourself. You're like, "Am I going crazy?" But
I think especially now, like, because like when I was a kid, that's kind of why I brought up the whole thing about like something happens with us as we get older. When I
mhm,
was a kid, I do feel like I would believe instantly that it was real. I didn't question it. I didn't exaggerate it in my mind as far as I knew. I didn't. I probably did because I had a wild imagination.
mhm,
But at the same time, like now I'd be the type that's like, even though we do this all the time, we like talk to all
Hmm.
these witnesses and stuff. Now I'm like, oh, that was nothing. Like I just heard that was the fan like making a weird chime sound or
Oh
something.
yeah.
You just do that now for some reason, and it's like I don't know
yeah,
what that's
We
about.
yeah,
blame we
yeah,
blame it away because we're getting further and further into our own what do you call it, like
mhm,
matrix box,
yeah, yeah.
of stress or anxiety. Like you don't have time for it. Like, I don't have
Mhm.
time for this, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I try because I'm very much like everything's paranormal. Like I always jump to the paranormal too
Yeah,
much,
Same.
and
We're like the same.
so I have to go. Look, okay, it could be that. Okay, it's probably not. It's probably paranormal, but it could be that. But sometimes things happen that you're just like, well, there's no explanation.
Yeah.
There's no explanation for that. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
was hanging
man.
out with my buddy Yvonne the other day. We were up in Table Fork, which is like a picnic camping area. And I hear all these rocks falling off the side of the mountain. I look up, I'm like, is that Bigfoot? And he's like, it's probably not Bigfoot. It's probably just like, and he's like naming all these things. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. I'm like,
No,
but
it's
I'm looking
Bigfoot.
for, but then I was looking up the whole time, like, because that's an area where they're known to be. So I'm just sitting there like, all right, like, yeah, you say it's not Bigfoot, but it's
Yeah, it
coming,
could be,
bro. It's
man.
coming.
It could be. Yeah. Have you guys had
Coming.
any experiences with any possible cryptids or UFOs or
Oh
anything
yeah.
like that?
this is the cryptid
All
guy. For
right.
some weird reason, like I see the
Let's
ghost more
go.
often. I don't know why. I see the ghost more often. I guess that's my thing. He sees the cryptid, so he's the cryptid investigator guy. And then our cousin is kind of like he's almost like a seer. Like he sees like auras and stuff. He's
Yeah.
kind of weird, and he
Oh
has
wow.
this like really crazy intuition. So when it's like the three of us, it's like we kind of are the perfect team. It's like
Yeah.
one's a ghost guy, one's a cryptid, and one's a an aura
Wow.
feeler kind of thing.
So two things. The first thing, let's get into my fairy story, and you
Let's
guys are gonna
go.
be, and that's come on, guys. Like, I know it sounds crazy, okay? I know it's Tinkerbell, and everyone thinks it's like this fantasy thing, but there is some weird stuff to it.
Really quick, I think Tommy, you just need to turn the comments off on this one because it's just gonna go like crazy.
That's
Like
cool. No,
this guy's lying.
no,
Like there's
no.
no way this is
We
crap.
we embrace the negative comments. We don't even
No,
we're
I'm
not
just
about
playing.
that.
We don't censor. Like go ahead.
They better not be following Let's Get Freaky or Supernatural Station without knowing there's some stuff like this coming. Well, here's the thing. So I was probably 20. It was probably 6 years ago. About 6 years ago, I was working at this other community. I managed an apartment complex, and I was over there, and it was in Midvale, Utah. So it's kind of like middle of the city. Like it's in between Salt Lake, which is probably the only city you've ever heard of, and then just everywhere else, right? Kind of right in the middle. And I remember there's this place I go to. It's called the Historic Wheeler Farm. So it's a farm, and it's really beautiful. And I would go there to eat and then just listen to podcasts. That's where I heard about Brent's show and some other of our favorites. And I would just walk around the park and just have a good time. This time it was Monday, I think, because the farmers market was going on. So they were doing like all kinds of cool booths and everything. And there was a lot of people there. Normally there's like 10 people there. This time there was 200 people there. Um, and that's the weird part about it because I got out of my car. I'm walking around. I'm enjoying things. I'm not listening to a podcast. I'm just checking things out. It's a super nice day. It was like a 82-degree summer day or something like that. May. I think it was May. And so I'm hanging around. I'm walking around. I'm just enjoying the scenery. It's the time where you'll see like cotton falling from the trees and all this stuff. That's just pollen. I hate that because I get horrible sinuses, but it is what it is. And I'm walking around, and I just remember looking to my left and getting literally like jumped. I jumped to the side because there's all these people around. But to my left, as I'm looking this way, as I'm kind of walking back towards my car, I'd already done the rounds. I see this. It's so weird. This is the weirdest. It's hard to explain because it's so weird. But I see this. The reason I jumped is I see this big, like this long. So what would that be? Like 9 inches, nine, ten
Hmm.
inches long. Um, Skin colored, fish looking thing flying in the air, like 10 feet above, about 10 feet in the air. So right where my visibility was. And it was probably 8 feet in the air, but it was right above me. And it was too close. Like it was 3 or 4 feet from me. So I jumped back. I'm like, what is it? I'm looking at this and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the whole thing. And I start looking around. Nobody's looking at it. I'm like, holy crap. And I'm getting chills thinking about it. But I just remember seeing this thing flying and it's like horizontal and it's moving really slow. Like it wasn't moving fast. So I got a good look at it and I'm just like, what is this thing? But it was kind of making me nervous because I'm like, is this a massive freaking wasp or something like that? There's no way. It can't be that big. And I just remember it's a round head, perfectly round head, a long body that's why I thought of like a flying fish. It was like a round head, flying a long body, and then this long tail. That this is the 9 inches, and then there's the tail, and the tail's like another 4 or 5 inches. And it was this black pointy looking tail, like blackish brown pointy looking thing. And I'm just like, and I didn't see any wings, by the way, no wings, from what I could tell. And I just saw it was just flying, just mind its own business, doing whatever it was doing. And I don't know how to describe it. I drew it one time, or Roman drew it for me.
We actually had some guy like on Facebook draw it for us, and I wish we could find it. It was really good because as soon as he drew it and sent it to us, my brother's like, "Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
much what I
exactly what it
saw,"
was.
you know.
So my thought is this is just random theory, but was it like a something that a fairy was flying on? Like was it like a creature? I have no idea. All I know is I didn't get the best look at above it, so I don't know if there was some little dude sitting on it, like hunched over,
Yeah.
like a little
Wow.
jetpack type vibe, like flying on
Yeah.
this thing. But all I know is it was weird because the skin color look to it and how big it was. It just threw me off guard, and I like, was looking around. Nobody saw it, and I saw it fly all the way away. It went into the trees in the Wheeler Farm area and vanished. So it didn't like disappear before my eyes or anything. Um,
Was it like
but
anything you'd seen before? Was it anything you can relate it to, or
no, that's what's so weird about it. And I literally text Roman. I was like, dude, I just saw like the weirdest thing I could ever describe, and I hope you don't think I'm crazy for this, but like I saw something super weird, and I started trying to describe it to him, but. The weird thing that threw me off was how round the head was. It was perfectly round. And then this like, but I don't even know if it was a head. That's the funny thing. It was just something weird flying. But it wasn't like a drone because that doesn't sound like any drone I've ever heard of. And there was no lights on it. There was no noise. Didn't make any noise. So it was just weird. And it had, and around it, by the way, I forgot to mention this. There was like, I used to think it was cotton flowing in towards it, but maybe it was like sparkles of light. It was some kind of like light feature around it.
wow,
So
man?
that was super weird, man.
Did
I
you
don't know
see
how to
like?
describe that.
So you didn't see like eyes or anything like that on this?
It was like a skin suit flying
Yeah.
with a weird pointy tail thing.
Like, didn't you say it was almost like tadpole looking a little bit, like
Yeah,
the
like
because that
imagine a
big round head
tadpole.
and then you see this long tail sort of thing? You kind of think of like maybe it was some sort of vehicle that like some fairy was flying, or maybe it was some kind of outfit that was being worn. Like, you know, you wear tails
Mhm.
sometimes that like a
Yeah.
cape or like a tailcoat or something that's kind of flying off. Like, yeah, it's kind of weird. And they always say fairies are flying around, so I don't know. But
Well, and
no
that
wings.
area is kind of enchanted, by the way. I didn't mention this yet, but like that area is old. Like it's Native American burial ground old. Like it's there's so much to it over there.
Hmm.
I have a friend named Haley that we actually had on our show not too long ago, and she lives in that area, and she always has frequent weird stuff all the time in that area. But it is in the middle of the city, but it's just a historic area that people don't mess with because
Hmm.
it's such an awesome thing, which I know you know a lot about in the UK. You guys have a lot of that cool stuff out there. But
Yeah,
we, you
man.
know, we tend to rebuild and destroy things, and I hate that. So it's cool that they have that. But it's weird, man. It's weird. I don't know how else to
That
describe it.
is wild, but
Yeah.
super interesting. So you didn't see where this or say creature, you didn't see where it came from?
No, it just like came silent to my left. Boom, I see it in my vision. It's right here. Whoa, whoa, I'm stepping back, looking around, nobody's around me. Goes that way, goes right into the
Man.
woods. Goes
Has
right
any
into the tree line.
has anyone ever given you any like possible things that could have been? Has anyone ever said to you like it could have been this and you're like, no, man.
Yeah, I'm like, am I going blind right here? Is like this some weird eye booger, I guess, if you will, like sitting in my eye. Like it was so weird, but that's not the case. Like I saw it moving and I followed it do its own thing. Like it wasn't my eye; it was like everything going on.
Yeah.
You know?
And the more
Interesting.
incredible thing about it, really quick, is that he saw it a second time. That's the more incredible part.
Yeah, and it was at the same place. Was it at the same? No, it was over at no, it was at my same work that I was working at. But I was walking out of this. This is weird. I forgot about that. I was walking out to check the mail because there's like a little mail room next to the office, and I'm walking out. It's super nice outside. Again, really nice day, perfect sunny day. You wish you could be outside camping or something like that. So I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. I'm walking around, and all of a sudden, right above me, same. I literally jumped back again. Same thing started flowing this way towards me and up and around and went behind me. And then I looked back, and this time I didn't see where it went, so it made me even more nervous because it was like
Wow.
right above me, and it was like the same thing. Yeah, just skin tone, pointy tail thing, like just super weird. Like
Whoa.
yeah,
That's
it's
wild.
like the only thing I contributed to the reason I said big wasp is because like you'll see those wasps where they have those legs hanging down.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it looked kind of like that,
Horrid things.
but it was just one like long one that was really pointed. It wasn't like dangling. It was like, shoo, and then it had this big body and then this round head, and it was just no noise though, just gone.
Whoa, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so weird.
I mean, there's a lot of creatures and cryptids out there. There's so many. Like this could be just something that is like undiscovered. You know, I mean, like all
Nobody's caught up to it
all
yet.
cryptids, but no one's talking about this one yet. I mean, we don't know what fairies look like. I mean, I know people have. I've talked to people that have seen like lights that are like fairy-like, and then when you get close, you can see like a little body inside the light, which I find really interesting. But that could be like another type of fairy or something like that. Man,
Yeah,
that is, and it's weird you saw it twice as well. You
yeah.
know?
It gave me like a little bit of confidence, like, oh, it's not just me losing my mind, it's happening again, And then
Wow.
but then it hasn't happened since, so it's not like something that's been like a problem where I'm seeing it all the time or like losing
Yeah.
my mind. But
Very interesting, though, man.
weird, yeah. And then the other cryptid thing I had was the Bigfoot sighting. If you want me to get into that real quick,
Let's go.
okay.
100%.
And I'm super thankful for this, by the way, because I know you've talked about it. We've talked off air and stuff. Um, I had the perfect sighting, right? I had the type that everyone wishes they had, and it sucks because it's kind of left me wanting more, to be honest. Like,
He's the one that says it sucks. I should be saying it sucks because I didn't see it and I was in the car with him. I was so pissed when he
Oh,
told me. I'm like sitting there looking around. I'm in the passenger seat, by the way. He's gonna get into it, but I'm in the passenger seat. I should be the one looking at all the wood lines and seeing all the stuff. But somehow my mind was just not there. I'm looking around. I'm like maybe playing the music or something. But he's the one seeing it and he's driving. He's gonna get
yeah,
into it.
I'm
But
driving. I'm not supposed to be even looking to the left or right of me. I'm supposed to be on the road, and I wasn't. And hashtag don't kill me for that. I didn't kill myself or him, so we're good. But it was weird because I was driving down. It was winter. We were coming down from a conference manager retreat thing in Logan, Utah, which is there's only two places in Utah that have heavy Bigfoot sightings, Sasquatch sightings: Provo, Utah, and Logan, Utah. And Logan is where we were at. Super mountainous, beautiful area. Um, it's on your way to Bear Lake, that kind of area, super pretty. If anyone wants to look it up. So we're driving down. It's winter, boom, and I'm kind of nervous anyway because I'm driving a little Saturn. It's a two-door little beater car, and as I'm driving down, I'm just it wasn't super snowy. Like the roads were paved, everything was looking nice. But I'm chugging along, and I see the lake on the one side, on my left side, and then I see like some mountains on the right. And me and Roman tend to look for creatures, like on the tree lines and stuff. Like maybe you'll see a cool elk or like a bear or something. Who knows, right? So we're looking around. I'm looking around as I'm driving. I'm like kind of doing this number. And as I look over, I just see this like so there's like probably 100 feet of snow, just flat plateau land right next to the road. And then there was a mountain break. And on the mountain break, there's trees, like beautiful pine trees, dark. It's during the day though, by the way. So it's a nice day. It's like cloudy, partly cloudy, but not snowing or anything. And I just remember looking over at these trees and the tree line and where the tree breaks onto the mountainside. And I'm like, this one just caught my eye. It was this really dark colored tree at first. I'm like looking at it, but the tree at first, it was straight up and then it had like straight arms, like Jeepers Creepers, straight up like scarecrow looking thing. So I thought, oh, is this like a totem pole or like a charred, burned tree or something like that? So now I'm looking at it more. And I'm like, what am I looking at? It's super dark. It's darker than the rest of the trees, like blacker than black kind of thing. And as I'm looking at it, trying to think. I was thinking it was a totem pole. Like, oh, this is cool. I'm like really wanting to see what this is. And as I'm looking at it, I just see this the arms that were straight up like this. They drop down and it takes one step to the left and jumps into the tree line. And it was bigger than all the trees. Like all the trees right there were like probably my guess, just it was 100 feet away or so. But my guess was like 12 foot trees. So this was like huge. And it just went boom, turn, jump, and it was one step and it was gone. And the step was huge. It was I could see the stride. It was like boom, gone into the tree line.
Wow. The trees don't do that. That's
No, it
incredible.
took a full jump, like a full step, and it was literally, and it was. Oh, so here's the tree line, and this thing was like this far away at 100 feet. I don't know how it took one step and went into the tree line.
Wow. Did
So
you
it
see
was
like a
weird.
face? Did you see like a face to this thing or?
It was far enough away. I didn't see like features. I just know it was blacker than black, like you hear all the time. It was very tall. It had longer arms than the body. That's why those arms looked so big, like a charred something. And then when it took the step, it was very massive. Like I could tell the body was like huge, in the middle, like chest, barrel chest, all that stuff. Long legs, long enough to take that one stride, and then the head looked kind of small compared to the rest of the body. And it was like it had that slight point to it. I could tell, but it was just this teardrop huge head, but smaller than the rest of the body. So it was weird. It was a weird thing. And I was freaking out. I was looking at Rome like, "Huh," and Rome was like, "What are you seeing?" Because I was like doing this kind of like freak out number. And I'm like, I think I think I just saw Bigfoot. Like I was freaking out. And I tried to explain it to him the whole way back and it was
What's
crazy.
crazy about it, real quick, if I just want to add a little thing, because sometimes you forget some of this part, and I like to bring it up.
Hmm.
Like on the one side of the road, like again, another maybe 300 feet to the other side of the road is like a lake. So there's a lot of food source in this area,
Totally.
especially in the winter, because this was winter time, and I know like you know, like mammals and stuff, they like to kind of hide out. Sometimes they hibernate, sometimes they hide out, and it's just hard to find food. And so that's why there's like a lot of theories that these things migrate to find food. But there's a lot of food in that lake for sure because there's a lot of fish in there. And then also, um, the other thing he forgets to mention sometimes is that that place was like full of snow out there. There's no way that there's people out there. There was no trails. There was no roads that out that direction. It was just like vast open, like just grassland for a while, like almost like sagebrush land. And then it just got, then there was the tree line, like where the woods
Yeah, that
start.
that full plateau was all snow. So he's right. It,
It
it
was,
should have been like 4 feet of snow at
yeah.
least.
And so nothing's
Wow.
out there goofing off. Like if it's a person, they're not doing that. They're
Dude,
not goofing
Uh,
off in the
yeah,
wood line.
dude ain't jumping that length if it's a
mhm.
regular person. Even Spring Hill Jack ain't doing that. Like it's
Yeah.
just weird, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
Wow,
I don't know.
man.
I'm thankful for it because it was cool, but it was like it was too far away to where I'm like, man. So now like my heart yearns to just go back up to Logan like literally every summer. And summer might not even be the right season because that was winter and like you hear all the migration patterns and stuff that might be the case, which I'm not sure. I believe there's some of that. But I'm just like, man, I need to get up there. So if you do come out, we should definitely do some
Oh,
Sasquatch
bro.
hunting up there.
Let's go, man.
Let's do it.
What do you think? Question for both of you, and a difficult one. But what do you think a Sasquatch is?
You go first.
Oh man, this is funny because I listen to Wes's
Yeah.
podcast all the time. All I think all of us do because
Love that show. Sasquatch
he's kind of
Chronicles.
he's like the podfather of the Sasquatch world. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I just love the way he handles his show. I love that he respects all of his guests and just gives them the avenue to speak how they want to speak. And so he's one of those ones that I like really want to look up to for our show. And I know we're not even close. We'll never probably ever be there, but. He always asks that question to everyone he has on his show, and it's like, oh man, I sit and think every time, what am I going to say? What I would say is I kind of lean towards what I think a lot of us podcasters start to lean towards after we do this for so long and hear so many people talk. There's way too many paranormal things that sort of happen around these things that I don't think it's just a flesh and blood animal. I used to. I always was very keen on this is just a flesh and blood. But the people that do that are just ignoring the commonalities that people are telling us about, like the
Yeah.
orbs, the lights,
The footprint stopping.
the footprints stopping, and they
Hmm.
just disappear, and all of a sudden there's no trace of this thing. Like the fact that we can't catch up to them, it feels like you're chasing a ghost in the woods sometimes because like you're right on its trail, or let's say you hear it breathing behind you, you turn around, it's not there. Like there's nothing there. And so sometimes they have these weird traits that feel very paranormal. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't really know what they are. I just don't think that they're flesh and blood. So I guess that's really my answer. I think that they're something more. And I think that's
Hmm.
why the government is trying to keep it a secret. I think that's why like we don't know about it. That's why we can't catch up to it. I really do lean a little heavier on the Nephilim side of things, that it's somehow related to the Nephilim somehow.
Hmm.
And when I say somehow, it's very loose to me. I'm not trying to be the guy that says like I think they are actually related to the giants and all this kind of stuff. I just think that there's something more biblical going on with these things, something more paranormal going on with these things that
Hmm.
we'll never probably ever know unless it's like end times or something.
Hmm.
My take is really similar to Romans. My big thing is they're in every culture, in every
Hmm.
nation. It's not just, oh, I hate how it's like, oh, just the Pacific Northwest. It's like, I mean, that's true. There's big ones up there, but like we talked about on our show when you were with us, like there's different types. There's the Texas, there's the Yahwehs, or the Yahwehs, there's the
Even
or
the ones in the
Yowies.
UK too that are like more
Yeah,
wild man looking,
we've
you
got
know?
There's
them
the
here, man.
Chinese one and the Chinese sculpture of the one with
Is
the
that the
baby. I don't know
Yeren?
if you've
Is they call it
the
the Yeren?
Yaren. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's remember there's that sculpture where it's like a lady looking one where it's holding like a
Yes.
baby. So it's like,
And that's a protected area in China, isn't it? Where
yeah.
they say
And
they're there.
you know what's funny? Just real quick, Provo, Utah, where I went and did another investigation on my own, which was really scary, with cameras front and back, just in case. I was walking around and I started looking around. I'm like, this is a hotspot for Bigfoot. And I started noticing the signs, and the only signs I've ever seen like that are in that area, but it says, um, Utah Wildlife Preservation or Historic Wildlife It says Historic Wildlife Preservation. Keep out in certain areas. And I'm like, I've never seen that sign ever. And it made me like historic wildlife, Utah, keep out. So I'm like, okay. So I guess my big thing is, to me, it's an old thing because natives have them in every story, every tribe. They used to trade with them. I lean heavy on the native side of it and understanding that they've had relationships with these things. They call them the tree, what was it, the tree people, the
Yeah, a lot of times they'd call them people rather than
a
animals.
people.
Like they're the people out there kind of thing, which is weird too.
So I know it's old. Um, maybe there's abilities that maybe this old maybe that's what we were supposed to be originally, and we've gotten smaller and weaker and more brain related and more like science related based off of a hybridization of whatever else is going on with the grays or whatever else we've been attributed to. I don't know.
This
All
goes
I'm
a lot of
saying
different directions.
all I'm saying is
Well, that's
I'm not saying it's an animal either because there's way too much going on. So I that's my take on it. It's definitely an old thing.
interesting.
Will we ever know what it is? Who knows? But
It's kind of like what we were saying about like the UFO stuff. Like
yeah,
it could be a mixture of all these things. There could be like flesh and blood ones that are just flesh and blood, and then you might get others that have got more of a supernatural element to them that
yeah.
maybe can.
Well, yeah,
And I do want to add one thing really quick is that kind of failed to mention as you're saying this. They really are flesh and blood at times though, like because they're leaving footprints. They're actually
Hmm.
killing it. Like they have to eat things. We see that.
Yeah.
They're ripping deers apart and like they're doing all these things that you see time and time again. Like there's bone piles that are piling up that people find that they think are attributed to Bigfoot. They have to eat. They're eating like we do, but there's just some other side of it that never gets talked about, I think,
Hmm.
that
and there is,
comes up.
stories of like I said, there's times where with all this research we do, where we hear these stories about Bigfoot's being hit, Sasquatch being killed, right? And there's even a thing I saw on TikTok the other day, which again, take credence where what you will with that. But there was this guy that said he had a high profile celebrity. I don't know if you've seen this, that he used to be security for. And
Yes, I did see this.
see this
Yeah.
video?
Yeah,
And
man.
he said I went in and I saw this creature that was not unlike anything I've ever seen that he had killed and taxidermied. And he was like, "Yeah, you don't need to ask what it is. It is what it is. It's what you think it is. Blah blah blah." So it's weird because these things are getting killed as well. That they're being covered up. I do believe. I'm not the type like the Cliffs or whatever. I'm not trying to put anybody on blast, but I always get a little like there's like a little tinge in my body when I hear somebody say once we find a body, it's like once we get the body, I'm like, dude, there's
Hmm.
probably been thousands of bodies and they just don't want to tell us what this is.
Hmm.
It's just,
Hmm.
I'm sorry. There's so
Just
many
like the
bodies.
Smithsonian coming in and taking all the giants out of the
Yeah.
mounds that were here and all this stuff. Like they have some reason that they're collecting this
Yeah.
stuff that they don't want
Hmm.
us to know. It might change history or something, may change everything we know about our humanity or something.
Hmm.
And so I
100%.
believe that's part of it, you know? And it's weird.
Yeah,
And
man.
then
You
that
give
leads
this
me to
stuff
those
in,
two.
they'll never bring it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And that leads me to those two guys that show up. Like I was saying earlier, before the show, There's these two guys that show up anytime somebody either hits one, kills one, sees one that's way too close, and it's always the same look. It's this blonde lumberjack looking dude with a beard, very nice, just flannel, like looking like Mr. Ballin or something. And then there's the other guy that comes over, and he's like in a suit, looking like Jason Bateman from like a movie where he's just very nice, smiling, no beard, just a tie. And then they both just say, "What you saw was a bear." Okay, and what you saw was a bear. And then the other guy's like, "Look, man, I'm gonna level with you. What you saw was a bear. And unless you want to have some kind of financial ruin, uh, what did you see?" And then you're like, I saw a bear, sir." It just sucks, you know. And I
Yeah,
hear that all the time. I've heard that story, and it's always that same look. So I don't know what that department is, but
really?
hopefully Doge figures out what that department is. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. We need to know. Man, so have you spoke to people that have seen these dudes?
We haven't specifically on our show,
Mm-mm.
but Tony Merkel has. He's had people on his show that have mentioned this, which he's
Hmm.
the Confessionals, great show as well.
Yeah, love
And then
that show.
Wes as well. Wes
Wes has had that.
on his show has had that. And then I think maybe what's the other guy's name that we like so much? Vic Cundiff.
Oh, Vic, yeah.
Vic
Mhm.
Cundiff. He's had a lot of people on his show that have kind of described this. And then the other
Interesting.
guy from Sasquatch, no, Bigfoot Crossroads,
Matt Knapp. I don't know if you've seen his show, but
Yes, yeah,
that's a
yeah,
good one
yeah.
too.
Yes.
But it's always that same description, you know. On Wes's show, it's the most famous one on his intro, where it's like the way it moved, almost as if it was gliding across the beach.
Yeah,
You
I
know that
love
girl?
that. That gets me
Yeah,
hyped.
same with me. And so chantering away, back and forwards, back and forth. That
Yeah.
girl. So she met those same guys that day. It was the blonde guy and the dude in the suit.
Really?
If you really listen to it, that's the two that showed up.
Because
So
that is an amazing episode. I believe that it's like in the 500s of Sasquatch
Yeah,
Chronicles. I
yeah,
believe somewhere. That is an amazing episode. It's like a British lady, isn't it? And she saw
yeah. She's
I
Bigfoots
think her name
on
awesome.
was
the
Claire.
beach. Yeah.
Yeah, her name's Claire. She's in Portland, in Oregon. Not Portland, but almost Oregon, almost California. It was Northern California, right? Almost
Yeah.
She was on
Oregon.
a business trip to
Yeah,
California. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Her story was incredible. Like that really was.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Wow, no, that's the first I've heard it because I listen to these shows all the time, and I've not, I don't, well, I probably have heard it to be honest, but it didn't come to mind when you said about the blonde hair and the, yeah,
Yeah, I
interesting.
think
I
there's
thought
just
Men
like
in
a
Black when you first said it.
yeah, they're the real men in black, but there's like a relatable one and there's like the business one, you know. And I think they just try to do the like you said, the good cop, bad cop routine or something like that. But
Yeah,
My
yeah,
thought is maybe those guys are more like the Bigfoot guys, and then there's maybe like the Men in Black or the alien ones, because they look like alien hybrids too, and they sort of seem to come around like whenever it's a UFO spotting or something like that.
yeah,
So maybe there's just different guys, and they're I don't know, they're just different
yeah.
three-letter agencies that come around, and
Might be like
yeah, and I
Cliff and Bobo in
right.
disguise.
there you go. Yeah, I love those guys. I love
I
Bobo. He's
do
so
as
funny.
well. Oh, they're awesome, man.
Yeah, Bobo's funny. He was telling that one story. He's like, I was came home one day and there's these kids and they were sitting outside and he's like they what would he say? I couldn't get into my place and so I asked him if they and one of them would go inside and open it up for me. I'm like, what is your
You
problem,
like try
dude?
to get him to go through the window or something like that, and like there's no parental supervision and
So
stuff. It's
funny.
Oh
weird.
man,
I love
that's
it.
dangerous, man. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
but
Oh, that I've said it to you guys before. Bigfoot is so fascinating. I would love to see a Sasquatch one day. Like that is my goal in life. I'd
well,
love to see one, man. It'd be
come
incredible.
out, come out. We'll do it. We'll do an investigation. We'll see what happens and
Yeah,
we'll do all the things and even Roman though, in Midway, Utah, which is also nearby, he had like a bluff charge, we think it was this a bluff, it was heavy. It was a bluff charge for sure.
Yeah, if
happen,
you want
man.
to hear that, I got two things I want to tell you about that are kind of like Bigfoot related.
Hmm.
The first one is kind of related to what we were saying about the body being found and like how they haul it off. It was so weird. We were driving one time. It was my cousin, my brother, and I. We were going up to Schofield, Utah, where we have our family has like a little cabin up there that we go have, go up there and stay camp and all this kind of stuff in the summertime specifically. But we were driving up there, just the three of us, and it was kind of an experiment. It was like one of the first times we were going up there together without anybody else in our family. And part of it was uh, our late grandpa gave me a key to the place recently. So he passed away recently. He actually helped build the place, him and his brothers. Um, And I was just so thankful that he let me. He's just like, yeah, you can have the key and you guys can go up whenever you want, as long as you're respectful and take care of the place and waterize it and all this kind of stuff that needs to happen. Well, we were heading up that direction, and I remember there was all this traffic. We're going up through the canyon. There was all this traffic all of a
Oh, I
sudden,
remember this.
and it was like, what is going on? Why is there so much traffic? We couldn't see any accident, up ahead, but it was stop and go. Like there was cars like forever, and there was all these cop cars that were like unmarked, like all these like you could tell they're like military or police type cars, but they're unmarked, and they had some that were marked as well.
Well,
But
and
there
then there
were
was the DWS too, the Department of Wildlife Services.
yeah,
They were also right there too.
and literally there's like 50 cars lining this whole road just that are parked on the side of the road, right? And then obviously all of us that are trying to get up or down the canyon. And so it was like this total pandemonium of just tons of like cars. And I remember we were all like, what's going on? We're all kind of looking around and eventually we start hearing a chopper flying above us, right? And you can hear that, so you're kind of looking up what's going on. You're thinking that maybe it's related to this. And there was something hanging from the chopper. You know how they can kind of carry things? There was like one of those like bags, when you're trying to transport an animal, let's say they tranquilize like a bear or some kind of dangerous animal and they put it in this like big bag type thing and they just kind of carry it that way. It was that. It was definitely that. There was some kind of like animal in a bag. We couldn't see it. There was no details or
But it
anything.
was it was long though.
It was
It
huge.
was like a long thing because you could see like a straight horizontal vibe to it, and it
Hmm.
was hanging down from the helicopter, and it was like under that bag thing, like you were saying.
But like our whole opinion on this thing, like finally we got past and everything, and it flew across over our heads and it just kind of disappeared. But I'm like, why would there be so much police activity, so much wildlife activity, the DWR, whatever it was,
DWS, yeah.
DWS. Like, why would they all be involved here unless it was something? And there was no fires. There was no like, you didn't see animals like running around. You didn't see like anything. And so it was kind of strange. And I think all of us were just like, I that could have been a dead Bigfoot, like or a trank Bigfoot that was maybe that they shot and like tranquilized or something like that. So all of us were weirded out
Wow.
by that, but we were stuck in that traffic for like almost an hour,
Well,
like just stuck there.
it's because like the only thing you'd see in that kind of situation you would think is like an animal that's going to cause harm to the people right there. Because there's fishing on the river right next to the road. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's like little houses kind of off to the side. They're like little farmhouses that are really pretty, where you could be a rancher if you want. Just really cool things like that. And it's funny because just it's just dangerous. So whatever that was probably dangerous, or they didn't want you to see. So my theory
Wow,
was
man.
it's this dude right here again. That was my theory.
That was the Bigfoot. I mean,
That's my theory.
we've seen those images of like the helicopter holding a Bigfoot. And
Hmm.
the images that are out there, I don't think they're real. I don't know if they are. They might be. Don't want to say they're not,
It
and they
looks
are.
so much like that
But it
though.
looked like that.
Yeah.
So there was that. That was like one thing, and then uh, what was the other thing I was going to get into? There's no, oh
The bluff charge.
yeah, the bluff charge.
Yeah.
Um, so so there's this place called Midway that's not too far from Park City. Park City is a really well-known area. That's like where they do the film festivals in Utah. Like so all the Hollywood people come out here and they do their little kind of it's called Sundance Film Festival. But like not too far from there, and this is a very mountainous area. There's like definitely a lot of cabin homes. There Midway is definitely more of a neighborhood oriented, so they have a lot of homes up there, but it's still in the mountains. And there's an area like just kind of more like south of Midway. I think it's more south. Where they have like little kind of like hiking trails that you can kind of go down. And there's like this one place me and my wife pulled off. We're like, let's just go have like a picnic over here because we're already up here. Let's just go hang out. And so we went down this little path, and there was like this sort of like a little hiking trail, and we kind of walked it. And we had my son with me, and he was like 4 or 5 at the time. And we went up to this little spot, and there was like this little tiny pond, like that you could kind of look at. I don't know if people fish in there or what, because it was kind of like random. It felt kind of man-made, sort of in a way.
Mhm.
But there was no signs. It didn't say you could fish there or not fish there. It was just kind of a random, kind of beautiful spot. And so we're like, okay, let's just sit here. Let's have our. We had some snacks and some drinks and stuff. And my son was just playing in the weeds and doing his thing. And I just remember, so there was like a little wooded area as you kind of go up that trail to get to the pond area. And you could definitely see that wooded area. And it was a small patch of woods. And outside of the patch of woods was just like sagebrush and like field. And then it went into up the mountain to like actual woods, like tons of woods. So there was a little break in that, where you'd almost see like an animal if you heard some sounds or something. So there was a point where we're sitting there having our picnic, and I hear the loudest sound, like it sounds like an elephant is like running down the mountainside, like just the loudest, boop, 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 like I don't know if it sounded two-legged. Sometimes people say they hear the bipedal thing. I didn't felt like, to me it felt like it was like a moose. Like when moose are pretty heavy, or elk, they're pretty heavy too, and that's kind of the heaviest animals we have. So I thought it was like something like that, kind of galloping down, and all of a sudden it goes into this little tiny wood area, this patch of woods, and I'm expecting some animal to come flying out of the woods, like right where we're at, kind of thing. Because right out of that patch, it's a very small patch. A big animal couldn't really hide in there. I think we would have seen it, type of thing. And I hear this loud crashing, like literally sounds like an elephant coming down. And then just a stop, like the sound just ends. And I don't see anything. I'm like, there's got to be an animal in there. It's going to exit any minute. It's going to be a moose. It's going to be an elk. Nothing exits. And I think we ignored it and we just kept doing our thing. And then we left eventually. I think we stayed there for a couple hours. I don't know what did that, but it had to have just sat there. Like it could have like ran down,
Just hid right
sat
there
there,
at
and
the
just
bottom.
hung out there and watched us. That's what I think
Wow.
happened. I didn't see anything. I tried to see I tried to see because I already knew about Bigfoot and I've heard about bluff charges and stuff. And
Hmm.
it felt like a bluff charge. It felt like whatever it was like angrier there. This was their area. They liked to maybe fish in this pond or something. And they were mad that we were just hanging out. Like you're unwelcome. I'm gonna try to scare you out of here. What was weird is we didn't get scared out of there. But I was pretty freaked out. Like I was definitely pretty freaked out because I'm like, that's something big, something
Yeah,
huge.
man. Yeah.
You know?
And that's very squatchy activity. That's the sort of
Yeah.
thing you hear them do. Man. Wow. Brothers, you've had some incredible experiences. Wow. Is there any more
We,
big ones to share
I
or?
really, I really want to get into like the two biggest we've ever had. The
Do it. That's the last.
abduction
We can do that.
Let's
and the
go.
Schofield tent. Those are like two of the craziest ones we've ever had. So, one of them is a ghostly situation. The other one's an alien. Well, we think was a abduction situation, and we're still blown away by the abduction one. But let me tell you that if you're cool with it, I'll tell you that. So here's what happened when we were younger. It was me, Roman, and my cousin Sean again. Again, the trifecta, right? We're hanging out in Schofield, Utah, which is an old mining town. There was an old mining disaster that happened in 1901, I think it was. Yeah, 1901. It was the biggest mining disaster on the west side of the U.S. What happened is it blew up, killed 500, more than 500 people, all men, and so basically the whole town was destroyed, and the women and children were left to live on their own in this really scary winterized town where you literally it was you're stuck there until spring, when it comes to winter. So it was pretty scary. And so we were out there. We always had weird experiences out there because of all that kind of just that emotional, just spiritual activity, right? And we went into the school. The reason we went to the school one time, and it was locked. You can't get into it. It's like a historic school. But that's where they put the charred bodies when they found bodies and they didn't know who they were. They would put it in the school, wrapped up, and try to see if anyone could identify them.
The reason
And
for that is it was the biggest building they had in town. You know what I mean? It had the biggest area. Like they had like
the
this huge.
gymnasium,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So they would lay them down in the gymnasium, which was in the back of the school. So we're like, okay, if we're going to do some massive ghost investigating, we're going to go here. That's going to be the place. So we were kind of hooligans, if you will, heathens, if you will, and we broke into the back of the school. So hopefully none of our family hears this from that side. But we broke in, and Rome, I think it was Rome with the credit card or something like that. We get in, and as we get in, we put the camera down. It's one of those old school cameras that still 1080p, like good quality, but it was like, or maybe it was 720p, but it was one of those, handheld style ones. So we put it down, and there's this little table right when you come into the gymnasium from the back door, and that's where they had all the bodies, right? We put it on the table, and it was facing towards the stairs that go down and up, and then up on top of the stairs, there's like the principal's office. That's how they had it set up. And then on each side, there was like two different rooms, and then the gymnasium. And then downstairs was like other classrooms and bathrooms and stuff. So we didn't go downstairs. Hell no. I actually didn't ever want to go downstairs. It just had a weird feeling to it. But we left the camera there in the gymnasium, the upper level. And we filmed this, so maybe we can send you this YouTube video.
Hmm.
But we caught the craziest things on that video. First off, that night, there was a sound of basketballs bouncing. There was a weird like laugh that sounded like super sinister. Something was touching our camera over and over, like it was trying to move the camera. So you'd hear that little click, and then you even saw the camera just slightly move. So we caught a lot of weird stuff there, right? And we're like, oh, that's the best thing we ever caught, blah, blah. We were reviewing it and everything. That night we go to sleep and we, and actually there's a little backstory before this. We went to this other place called Winter Quarters where the mine was, where the mine blew up. And my cousin, weird as he is and crazy as he was, he took a little, what was it, a spoon or a fork or
I thought
something?
it was a railroad
Oh, it was a
spike.
railroad spike.
Mhm.
He took a railroad spike from over there, and my grandpa warned us before we went up there. He's like, "Don't take anything that's supposed to be up there," and we brought it back. And I think that when we did that, we caused some
Mhm.
anger or something. Because that night we were sleeping in our tent in the backyard. It was a cabin, but all the younger kids had to sleep in tents outside because there's just no room for everyone. And so we're out in this big grassy area in the backyard, and there's a street light. It's like a little ways away, and it's pretty high up, so we could tell what the shadows should be doing from hitting our tent where it was at. And we go in our tent, we go to sleep that night. I wake up to like the craziest thrashing I've ever felt on the tent. It was like this, and you could sound like wind, like a hurricane wind. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I kind of like look over and I'm sleeping in the middle of the tent and Roman's on one side, Sean's on the other. And I'm like, I look over and I kind of just like, as I look over on the side of the tent, there's like these, like, I'm not kid you not, there's these little kid hands hitting the tent over and over. And it was two sets of hands all over the tent. So there was some up way up high and there was some over here, some over here. So, and there was no shadows to any of those hands.
Like there was probably 10 sets of hands, like separate, like individual, like grouping of hands, and yeah, and they were sitting there shaking and just
Little hands, like
and
little
like
kid
normally
hands.
if something's doing that, like let's say the street light
You would see
is
their
behind
shadow
me, you
Yeah.
would see the shadow projecting on the tent,
of
right?
the
If there
person.
was someone doing that to you,
Yeah.
and we didn't see that.
And there was more. There was like 12 sets of hands or something like that. And I remember I looked over at my cousin Sean and I didn't think he was awake. I had to pee so bad too. And I look over and he's just like this. He's sleeping next to me. He's like this. Like he didn't want to move, but he was awake and he's seeing it too. And then I wake we just deal with it all night. Somehow we fall asleep. I don't even know how that happened. We wake up the next morning and we're talking to Roman. We're like, "Whoa, crap, you know what happened?" And Roman's like, "I know." He's like, "I heard it too. I saw it. They were trying to hit my face because he was on one side where they were like
Yeah,
trying to touch his
they
face."
were like getting
Oh
really close to my
man.
face because I was on the one side, so I could kind of feel like the fingertips kind of like hitting me a little bit, like from like the canvas of the tent type thing. It was so scary. I'm like, dude, I'm not moving because like there was a part of me that wanted to like freak out and blow up and just like swing,
Yeah.
but I was too scared because I knew it was supernatural. I knew that like I can't fight something that's not physical, even though
Yeah.
it felt sort of physical.
Literally the next day we ran to North with winter quarters and we threw that stake back over there. Like we just left it over there, over the fence. Um but it was
Man.
weird, man. That was a weird experience.
Wow. Oh
Yeah.
man. I mean, at the time, I know you wouldn't because it's terrifying. But did you think about opening the tent and looking out? Oh,
We were like literally like you know how
I
they
don't
always
blame you.
say like you know how they always say like I'm not gonna we actually I don't know if we had phones at the time. We probably didn't. We were
No.
still too young. We were like 13 or something at the time. But I remember just being frozen. Like I looked at my cousin and we were both like frozen. Like he was looking at me petrified. I was petrified. And I'm like, if we do anything, they're gonna hear us. It was like one of those things where it's like I don't want them to hear we're awake at all. Like
Yeah.
so we just acted asleep, but we were wide awake. All of us just like, you know.
You hear this from
Um
people sometimes. There's the fight or flight type stuff. And then there's people that react to things differently. There's some that just like get super quiet, and just chill, and just hope that something goes away. That's what we did that night. All of us just sat there and hoped it went away. I did that with the Pioneer Lady too. The first time I covered my head, obviously, but I did the same thing.
Yeah.
But I think now I'd react
yeah,
very
nowadays
differently.
I'm like, whoa,
I think
Texas
I'd be
hand.
like, yeah, I'd be swinging. I'd be coming at it like I'd try to scare it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't. When we're
Man,
kids, we were kids, and we
that
can't
is
do
one
it.
of the scariest things I can imagine, man. I mean,
Isn't that weird?
wow.
Yeah,
Could
and
you
we were
could you hear
young.
like giggling and stuff, like kids
Yeah,
giggling?
Yeah, there was voices. We could hear
yeah.
voices. I forgot about that. There was like wind in the wind voices, like where it's like.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing you asked that because we forgot to tell that part of it that there was giggling happening. There was some children's
Oh
giggling,
my.
and what was weird is like it was sort of a family reunion type thing going on. So there was quite a few people there, and there was quite a few tents. There was probably like 5 tents out there. Um, but like there was no kids that were that small. Like we were
No.
probably the youngest kids
Well, and
out of
again, you
anybody.
would see the shadow, but also we were the furthest tent. Me and Roman and my cousin Sean, we like to be the rebels, right? Because they were all LDS, like Mormon, and we're like, ah, no, we ain't playing that game. So we were always in the corner, like away from them, being the rebels type. And
Yeah.
so it was just yeah, there's no way. Like we try to think back on it, like, is there anything that could have happened that was like logically what could have happened? And there's no way. Everyone was older than us. Those hands would have been bigger than ours. So it was just weird. It's just like, and like the ones at the top of the tent are the ones that blow me away the most because they were like up high
Yeah.
and they were pushing down the top of the tent. And I'm like,
But
what
they
the
were still
heck?
small hands, like children's hands.
Yeah. So you're just seeing the imprint of like tiny
You
hands.
just see like
Oh
little
my
hands, like boom, boom,
gosh.
like the size of my, like this area of my hand, just doom, 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 doom. Like it was so weird.
With the giggling as well, man. That is
Yeah.
terrifying. That's got to
Yeah.
be one of the scariest things I've heard. And I've heard a lot of things, man.
It's
That,
freaky.
that is freaky for sure. Did any other
So
tent experience that? Do you
it's
know?
crazy. Yeah. And that's the only time we had an experience like that,
Yeah.
thankfully. But the last one I wanted, I guess we can get into is the abduction one, which I don't know if you want to start on that, Rome. Just kind of get into it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So this could be our final story if you're cool with that. I mean, we've
Hmm.
definitely had
Yeah,
other
no problem.
experiences, but
Yeah, I'll
I
get you
think this
guys
one.
back on if you're happy to come back. We can talk
We
more.
have others, but these are big ones. This is another big one, and I just didn't want to waste too much of your time. But
No,
bro,
not
it's
at all,
like
man. I've got all
yeah,
night.
this this one blows me away though. Like I I'm still. This was only how many years ago? Like 3 years ago.
3 or 4 years ago.
We were
Yeah.
it was our 32nd birthday, and we're 36, so maybe 4 years ago. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um.
So my wife had this cool idea to, because she knows we like to go camping. We're really into this like bushcraft stuff. We're trying to figure out, how to survive just on nature and build
Mhm.
little shelters and stuff. And so she knows we like to kind of rough it and everything.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna pay for." There's this place called Tanner Flat, which is up in Little Cottonwood Canyon. So we have a couple different canyons that are really prominent on the Wasatch Front in Utah. And people that are from here, they'll know exactly what we're talking about. People that have visited, they'll probably know too. But Little Cottonwood Canyon is beautiful. It's like all granite, the whole canyon. It's so pretty. It's all white rock.
The very top of it is Snowbird, which is a ski resort, and there's a
Mhm.
place called the Cliff Spa that's up there, and we actually interviewed a guy that had a Bigfoot experience up there too. So
Mhm.
it's just a crazy place. It's just yeah, it's intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we were up. So my wife's like, I'm gonna get you guys. There's these little camping spots in this area called Tanner Flat, which is on the way up the canyon. It's like midway up the canyon, and they have all these little campsites. So you can take like tents if you want. If you have to pay for them, they're not free, but you have to pay for them. And you can either take like a trailer tent, or they have these yurts, and they're these really pretty yurts. If people know what yurts are, they're kind of like a canvas covered, like sort of round tent type thing that's just stationary. And my wife's like, I'm gonna get a yurt for you guys, and I want you to have. It was our birthday, so it was like our 32nd birthday, I think.
I think it was 32nd. Yeah.
And she's like, I'm just gonna let you guys do your thing. She wasn't going; it was just us. And she's like, you can camp and stay in the yurt for a night or two. Was it
That's a
two
cool
nights?
wife, man. That's a cool
She
wife.
stayed, yeah, she's
Two
super
nights.
cool. She always takes care of me too. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, let's just get you something for both of you. Like, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, that's
But,
awesome, man.
but yeah, it was 2 nights. We stayed up 2 nights.
So we were hanging out. I think the worst of it was the second night, right?
Yeah.
So the first night, we were just
First night was
hanging
chill.
out by
It
the
was fun.
fire. We're just making our food. We just made like camping style food, like we call them hobo dinners, that type of stuff. Where you just wrap something in tinfoil and put it on the fire.
We were listening to Michael Jackson. Rome was doing his Michael Jackson moves because he's so good at that, and just vibing.
We were just doing our
Yeah,
thing, listening to country, whatever. So we had a
whatever.
great
Yeah,
night that night. Fell asleep. It was great. The next day we had a friend come over. We actually there's a river pretty close by, so we all went and dipped in the river. There's
it
like
was a
little.
really hot day that day, by the way,
It was
because
summer.
it's summer. June 28th is our birthday, so
And there's
it
these
was.
little, like in the river, there's these little pooling areas of water that get pretty deep, because it's kind of, I don't know, it just kind of like steps down. And so some of those areas you can kind of just sit in like a bathtub
Yeah,
and,
it's
and
so
it's
fun.
really cool down. So we're doing that. We're hanging out in the bath. We had a great time. And then all of a sudden, this is where it gets really weird. All of a sudden, we kind of like wake up. We kind of come to like by the river. I can't find my phone. I
Well,
can't
yeah,
find my
this is
keys.
the weird part, real quick. We're hanging out with my buddy, his girlfriend, her wife, whatever, fiance. I think she was fiance at the time. And then me and Roman, we're just having a good time. And then little second do we know, like boom, it was an instant thing. I'm waking up, and it was like a video game when somebody like you're kind of like groggy and like everything's blurry, and I'm waking up and I'm looking over and Roman's like coming to and he's at the edge of the river and we're both like, what is going on? And he's looking around,
So
everything's missing.
for those who've had surgery, like who've been put under for surgery, when you come out of that and you can't really walk, you kind of need somebody to kind of help you walk and stuff. That's exactly how we felt. Like
Yeah,
I felt like I couldn't walk right. I felt like I was totally out of it. Like something had drugged me, kind of, and same with him.
same. It was so intense.
And I'm
I've
looking,
never done a drug more powerful than what that felt like. You know what I mean?
so I'm looking for my
It's,
phone. I'm looking for my keys, my wallet, everything. All of a sudden, I see my phone like in the water. I pull it out of the water. I find it in this random spot. I find my keys. I start finding everything. And then all of a sudden we're trying to find like because we were driven up there from our friend that was with us. It's not a far drive, so we could walk back to the yurts and stuff. But he's just gone. He's missing. He's not with us. His car's gone. So it's like we were missing
and it
time.
looked like it was 2 or 3 hours later. Like it
Yeah.
was darker. It was like afternoon, and we went like kind of morning almost, like 12 o'clock or something. And it was like probably 4 in the afternoon. We don't know exactly because we didn't look at the time, but
And yeah, we did
it,
have some drinks. Not a lot. We had some beers and stuff.
yeah, just
But
like
but
classic
it
beers
wasn't
in the river, you know.
it wasn't to the
Hmm.
point where you'd like black out like that,
Hmm.
And all of a sudden we find ourselves climbing up this little side area that's kind of a hill to get up to the road. And then we're walking down the road, which is a busy road. It's kind of like the highway up the canyon. And we're going down barefoot, by the way. We
Barefoot. My shoes were missing
couldn't
too.
find our shoes. Both of us couldn't find our shoes. They were just missing. We get down to the yurt, finally make it there. And then we were so tired, like our body was so exhausted by whatever happened to us.
We both just pass
We
out
passed out in the yurt. And then
on our
what I,
respective beds, of course, like on each
yeah,
side.
there's two beds. And all of a sudden the next thing I remember is waking up the next day, the next like morning or whatever,
It was late. It was like
or
one.
late.
It was like 1 p.m. the next day. So we slept from like whatever afternoon it was to a whole nother afternoon. It was like 14 hours or something or 12 hours, which we didn't even realize until later. But we wake up and I'm like, I'll just tell you this part. I look over. I literally had the craziest nightmare I've had in a long time during that moment. And the nightmare consisted of, I'll just tell you this part first. The nightmare consisted of I was in this, if you will, Kansas is a good example, like just flatlands with like big corn husks or wheat plants, something like that. And I'm running barefoot, which we were barefoot, which is funny. I'm running barefoot with Roman, and we're running away from something that's literally terrifying us. And as I look up, I see the shadow of this thing flying over us. And as I look up, I see this huge osprey. Do you know what an osprey bird is? It's like a big like bird of prey.
Looks like a
Hmm.
hawk, kind of.
So it's a big white and like gray hawk almost with like these piercing blue eyes, and they hunt like fish and stuff. And they're up in Yellowstone, so if you go, I'll show you where one of those.
Oh wow, yeah.
But it's flying and it's huge. It's like 7 feet. It's huge. It's a big creature, and we're running from it, and we're running towards this little shack. And as I get close to the shack, it lands on the shack that we're running towards, and it starts ripping up these wires on top of the shack with its beak. And then I come to and I'm scared. Like it just, I woke up freaked out. And then I'm like, I look over because I'm thinking Roman's missing, right? And I'm like, I literally thought, because in the dream, I see Roman kind of, it's almost like he gets nabbed from me or something happens where we get separated, but I don't see it in the dream. I just feel it. So I look over at Roman and he's there. I'm like, oh, he's here. He's laying down. But I had this weird feeling on my arm and my arm was like hanging down on the one side. And I look at my arm and like up in this vicinity of my arm, there was this weird mark in real life. And then I'm like, Rome, wake up. And Rome wakes up and he's coming to. And he's like, oh. And Roman does the same thing. He like jumps and he's like, oh, are you? And he's thinking I'm missing. So now
Yeah.
he's jumping and he
Yeah.
can tell his portion of
So,
it.
so my part of it was exactly very similar to my brother's. I felt like we were separated and he was missing from me. I couldn't find him in my dream or whatever it was. So as soon as I wake up, I'm looking for him like frantically, but he was obviously right there with me, which is great. What was weird was on he brought the whole thing up about the little prick on his arm. Like when you get an IV, you get that little like prick mark.
Mhm.
That's what he
Hmm.
had on his like right arm, I think it was.
It was precision. It was like a precision prick on my right arm.
And I had the same on my left arm, which was super weird. When I woke up, I noticed it too.
Whoa.
And what was weird was my dream, the dream I had, because
It coincides.
he
It's
talked about his
crazy.
osprey thing. My dream was different. My dream was definitely very similar. That it was this flatlands area, so it was like a Michigan, Kansas type vibe where it's all this corn husks and everything. And in my dream, we were barefoot. I was with my brother. We were renting an Airbnb, and for some reason, we were like running from what felt like the owners of the Airbnb, and we were running barefoot. There was this like abandoned Toyota Corolla type thing, or like some truck that was just out there, and I could tell it had the keys in the ignition. So I'm like, we got to get out of here. Let's just escape. We jump in the truck. We start driving away in through the corn husks, and I look up in the sky and I see these like astronauts like wearing white that are flying above us, like just floating. And
White and gray
they're wearing
though.
white and they have these big black eyes. Like astronauts have these like helmets that have like the black whatever. What this was kind of like a helmet, but it had these like big white eye or black eyes that are like alien eyes, on the helmet.
Yeah.
And they're just floating. And then they land on top of this shack that was in the distance, similar to my brother's, a shack in the distance. And they just start ripping up these cords on top, like these like wires that are on top of
Just
the
like the
shack.
Osprey ripping up the cords, bro. Like
And like it felt like an AC condenser, and they're ripping up like the cords off of it. But I could tell like it was more electronic related and not so HVAC related, like more I don't know, something of value to them because they're like trying to like harvest something off of it or something weird.
Mhm.
And I was just terrified of these guys. There was like two or three of them floating, and then they all landed on the shack. So mine was different that I had like two or three, and he just
and
had
I had
one.
one big bird. Yeah.
But we think they were the same thing
We think
because
it was a
like,
projection, like a
Yeah.
projection of what we think it might have been. You know what I mean?
and then I just come
Man.
to after that, and we're already trying to escape at this point. But in my dream, I remember feeling like they saw us, like trying to escape, and they were like turning their attention to us. And then I
Yeah.
woke up. And so what was weird is we don't know what it was. That in that area at that time, there was not a lot of campers with us in
No.
that area. So we were kind of like lone campers. And I feel like the night before we were having a late night bonfire. Like,
We were having fun late the night before, and it was probably like super late, like 11:30, 12
yeah.
o'clock.
And
And that pitch black out there, you know?
it was almost like a
And
beacon. Like if it was an alien thing, I feel like we were like the only thing you could see like in the canyon that had light or something. I don't know,
like
but
fresh meat, like, oh, there's something we can go grab. And then I think maybe what they thought, oh, they're twins. Let's harvest their DNA and see what we can learn about it or something. Because like I said, he had the same mark on his arm, and we both woke up feeling super groggy, and it was just weird. And we had the same
Wow.
dream.
and I'll say one more thing really quick just to add to it, and then I'll let you comment.
Commentate.
On my lower back, and I can still feel it. Ever
Oh
since
yeah,
that
that's right.
moment, I still have this weird little like nodule that's on my back. That's like a weird. People say it's like a cyst or something like that you can like it's under the skin, and so it kind of feels just like a little rubbery ball type thing. But that was only there after this whole experience. Like I never noticed it before, and so I'm really worried like that it's some kind of.
We're just gonna have to cut it out one day and just
I'm
see for
really
real.
worried it's some
Yeah,
kind of
man.
tracker or something. I don't know what it is, but
Cut it out right now.
Right? On screen.
Let's go. Man, that is wild.
yeah, we didn't find anything else about that. Like this, that was the only thing we knew. Like there was no other dreams, there was no other like aliens type experiences for us. But this was just too weird to ignore because the dreams were too similar, and the whole the markings on our bodies and just feeling groggy like you came out of a surgery type thing
Yeah.
was too weird. It was just too weird.
Well, and the friend that was hanging out with us doesn't have a lot of answers. Like he never gives me any good answers. Like it's kind of like
He actually acts kind of freaked
he
out.
acts freaked out. Like he acts like he doesn't want to talk about it, and we're not really hanging out
That,
anymore, which
that's
is weird.
yeah, man. So where did he go while this was happening? Does he say where he
We
went?
don't know.
He
He
never
won't
told
tell
me.
us.
It took me like a day and a half to get it out of him that he just left, and that's kind of all he says. I just left, and
Did he say what state you guys were in when he left?
No.
no, that's the thing. I was like, well, we don't remember really what happened. Can you like help us out? Like, why was the cell phone and the keys in the water and all this weird stuff? And he just doesn't have a good. He never. He can't give us a good answer. So
Man.
it's weird, man. And like I said, we've separated sort of because of it. Like it's something that maybe freaked him out a lot. I don't know.
And I
It's
don't
weird.
know if it was like I don't think it was a falling out. I really don't because like I
No,
said, we weren't like drunk like that, like where people start fighting and stuff. It wasn't like that.
no.
And so it's just kind of it's very strange because we weren't that close with him either, though. It was kind of like a like
Acquaintance friend.
acquaintance type
Yeah.
friend.
Mhm.
But it was just strange that he just. I don't know if they saw something, if something happened that was weird with them too, and they just don't want to talk about it. And that was during the day before all the nighttime stuff that the
Mhm.
dreaming and stuff.
Man, it'd be interesting if you could get whatever that is in your back looked at,
Yeah.
maybe a
Yeah.
scan or whatever, and because obviously that's something you hear a lot with abduction that implants are put inside people, and they often are small and in a weird position and stuff.
Hmm.
So, man, that is wild. Have you guys thought of doing some sort of regression or anything like that? Would you ever do that?
I would like to, honestly, because I do want to also know about, because I kind of believe in past lives and stuff, because my grandma my mom, they both kind of did that, and they had these really crazy experiences where they saw their past lives and all this stuff, what they think were their past lives. I think it'd be cool to do that, but also this side of things too. I just want to know more. I'm okay to know more. Like
Yeah.
I need to know more, kind of, because
Yeah,
I think that was so strange.
probably a year ago I'd say no, but yes, I'm ready to. I also want to find out what's going on because it's just weird, like all the weird things about it. It makes me wonder if like there's been more that's happened, and I'd be really surprised to find out. Not surprised to find out if there
Hmm.
was, but
Hmm.
and I'm ready to know because we're delving into this stuff now. We're ready to. I think we're just ready. Like a lot of us are, our minds are opening up to this stuff a lot more, and like it might not be sinister. It might just be something that happened that was for, doctor related situation or something. And they like put us back in the same spot, but we were groggy. And, like
That's
imagine if it
wild.
was, yeah, like a cow. Imagine a cow waking up. They're scared of the guy that tranquilized them too. But like they don't really mean any harm to him. They just did a test on him and left him there or whatever. So I don't know. It's hard to say, but I'd be down to know.
Yeah, man. Do you remember like your last sort of moments before it all went dark?
No, all I remember honestly was just hanging out at the river, like having a good time. That's all I remember. And then I remember walking, like staggering, and it was kind of like in and out of consciousness as we're staggering, which is really scary, by the way, too, because there's cars coming like right on the side of us, and
Yeah.
they go pretty fast through that canyon, and so like it was really kind of a dangerous situation. There was one point my brother was kind of wandering into oncoming
Yeah, I was just like,
traffic, and I like coaxed him like
yeah,
back off to the side of the road and stuff. So we were
Yeah.
definitely out of it. We weren't in the right, in the right state of mind. And I think it was like there's no explanation. Like I don't even think alcohol can do what that felt like.
no,
It
it
felt
can't.
like some kind of like morphine, not morphine, but you know what you get when you have a surgery type thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's so
I
weird
mean,
that you had the same dream as well. Like pretty much
yeah,
the same dream. As you say, it was like your own perception, but it was the same thing happening. You're being
and
chased.
it's weird because I'm scared of the osprey bird. I have a little fear of those now. Like when I see them, I'm always like, oh, like so. There's still like a little PTSD when I see them. I'm like, if they like look down at me or whatever, I just have this weird fear, a little bit. So, and I've
Yeah.
never been scared of birds. I love birds of prey. So weird.
That is a wild experience.
Hmm.
Man.
I'm trying to figure
Woo!
out why it was like a Kansas kind of place. You know what I mean? Because we were in Utah, so it wasn't flatlands. It was in the canyons where mountains are huge.
Yeah.
And
And that's
so I
weird
don't
that
know
you
why.
both had that as well. Like you
Yeah,
Yeah.
both, I don't believe in coincidences.
I don't either.
Wild. Guys, that is wild. You blow my mind tonight, gentlemen.
Good.
Woo!
It's all real. It's all wild.
Yeah, for sure, man. Wow. So you think possibly that was an abduction you were taken there?
I do kind of think that because I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say about it. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
don't know what makes sense besides that. Besides
with
we
the
were
with the amount of lost time, with the
yeah.
same dream that looks like, and you always hear this, and there's another connection with other people that have seen, aliens frequently. A lot of the time, they say they're these massive owls, right?
Yep.
They
Yep.
they attribute them to these massive looking owls that are standing there looking at them. So it's like, yeah, maybe I've heard those stories and I attributed a bird to it to what I saw in the same way.
Hmm.
The fact that it was the same colors, I don't know. And I think dreams can be just our mind doing fun things, but I do think that that one definitely had some meaning behind it, being that we both had the same one.
Well, and also that
And
one just it doesn't go away. It's one of those long lasting dreams that like I will always remember it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of you keep a dream journal. Some people do to like, remember everything that's happened in their dreams.
Hmm.
But I don't need to with that one. That
yeah,
one's
not with
like
that
it's
one.
always there. And seeing the astronauts things that were they had their arms straight out, kind of like a bird would glide, like a bird of
Hmm.
prey would glide. So that was also kind of a similarity.
With like
You
the
know,
alien eyes as well, like the
Right,
alien
these big
grey
black
eyes.
like alien like yeah, almond eyes, yeah, on the mask. And it was like a helmet though. That's what's weird. Maybe in my mind, what I think is for both of us was it was a screen memory.
Hmm.
I think both of us saw aliens and I don't know where
And
we
our
were
brain tries to piece it into something
and
else,
I don't know what
right?
the whole idea of like ripping up the cord thing was. That makes no sense, but it happened with both of us.
Yeah, that's
And
weird.
I still am racking my brain trying to figure that out.
Maybe it was a communication shack, and we were able to like get some help right there, and then they started ripping
Like
it up to
maybe we were
to
fighting
stop
them.
us.
Maybe we
Yeah.
were fighting them or something and getting away
Yeah.
somehow, some crazy thing. And they were like pulling the plug, like, oh, let's have the gates come down on them, like they can't get away right now. I don't
The
Well,
know.
and the
fact
other
that
weird
these
thing. Oh, go
These were
ahead.
like
Sorry,
these
Tom.
were these were like wires as well, you were saying. So they're
Yeah.
like something mechanical that's being
Yeah,
destroyed.
like blue and green wire that wires you see on computers and stuff.
And you know how like sometimes you hear stories like they drop them off in weird spots, like it's not the same, like they forgot, or they throw them in different clothes or whatever. Like abductions is what I'm talking about. That's what it was weird about this one is Roman was in the water with me, and I was still in the water in my same spot. Like literally, if I was in the water for 4 hours, that'd be insane. Like I'd be freezing to death, and I'd probably, you know what I mean. And so I
Hmm.
wasn't like waking up from that either, which is weird. And I was literally just sitting in that same spot on the river, and then I look over and Roman's on the side,
And
just
this is pure snow melt water, by the way.
oh
That's
yeah,
pretty
snow
freezing
melt.
cold water.
So
Like
this is
even
cold.
in June.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
cold.
So that
he'd have all the brittle skin, and he'd have
Yeah.
he'd have maybe some frostbite
So I
probably.
wasn't there the whole time, is my thought. You know
yeah,
what I
no,
mean?
you can't have been because that like you'd think like that would kill you to be in that water in
Yeah.
that state. Like you wouldn't survive that.
Weird.
That's weird, man.
Yeah. So I don't have answers, but there you go.
Man.
If any of the listeners have answers, please let us
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I still feel like you need to get more from that friend that I know you're not maybe not talking now, but there's got to be something more there.
Got to be something. Yeah.
You got to do like Yellowstone style. Uh, what's his name? What's Rick? Is it Rick?
Rip.
Rip. You got to
Yeah.
go Rip style on that dude.
I got to go take him to the train station
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
That's tough. Well, that's why we're called the Supernatural Station. You know what I
That's
mean?
Yeah,
it. That's
Yeah. We're
it.
about to take him to the train,
there
you
it
know?
is.
Love that, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's a very interesting one. I'm going to be thinking about that for a while. I'll probably have some more questions, and I'll message you in the middle of the
Please.
night.
And save my number too. We'll talk more. It'd be awesome.
100%, man. You guys are awesome. And I'd love talking to you tonight. We've gone over the 2 hour mark, I think. So I
Yeah.
apologize. I
Oh,
apologize.
No,
you're
you're
But
good.
good.
You're good.
we'll do this again, man. You guys are welcome back on. If you can get any more answers, if anyone out there has got any um, possible solutions to this, get involved. Let us know what you think. Because,
Yeah.
man, wild
Yeah,
stuff.
if we ever do a live show or something like that, maybe we can have you on and just
Yeah,
have
I'd
some
love to.
random cool conversations or something.
Yeah,
So
anytime, man.
that'd
Anytime.
be fun.
You guys are awesome. You've got great energy. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you and your awesome show?
Well, you can find us on. So I manage the TikTok. So just look up Supernatural Station podcast on TikTok and you'll find it. And it's that train that Roman's wearing on his hat.
Hmm.
So
Cool
it'll look
logo,
just
man.
like yeah, with the little skeleton skull in it. And
Love
then
that.
you can also find us on Instagram, also Supernatural Station Podcast. Facebook, we have a group page called that Supernatural Station Podcast. And then on Apple and Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, we have the audio. And then we're also doing YouTube right now. So YouTube's, I'm posting a lot of the same, all of our old podcasts. But I'm also doing this thing called Sunday segments, where I basically tell stories on there on YouTube, and it's like little 6 to 12 minute segments of just random fun stories, stuff we're talking about here.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, and actually, with the Facebook group, if you guys want to join the Facebook group, it's actually really fun. We do a lot of like you get if people that listen to this show have similar interests, I'm sure, and so we always have just fun, interesting comments and conversations going on over there. And that's what he mentioned was the Supernatural Station podcast group on Facebook. So you can find us there, and then yeah, it's just our podcast is anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all
we're
that.
active on the Instagram a lot too, though. That's the big one that Roman manages.
That's the best
And
one. I
I
love
do.
Instagram.
Yeah, it's the best. And so we'll do reels and stuff on there. And then if you have experiences you want to share with us, besides you, of course, and I'm not trying to take any listeners from
No,
you,
man, no. Not at
but
all.
Supernatural
We'll
Station
share
5
them
at
all.
yeah, Supernatural Station 5 at Gmail is where you can email us any stories you've had. And we can do anonymous stories too. Like we like to do the listener stories episodes where we just tell people stories instead of having them on, and it's fun to do interviews too, of course. So whatever is best.
Hmm. Awesome. You guys are awesome, and you're doing a wonderful job. And looking forward to talking more, guys. Thank you very
Yeah, heck
much.
yeah.
Thanks for having us on, man.
Dude, we appreciate you, Tommy. Until next time, good sir.
Thank you very much, guys. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you share it where you can. That is a great way to support us, and we'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Thank you very much, guys.
Dude, have a good one, man. That was fun.
Thank you.